At over 4 miles in length, Road America is the longest track we have on the USF Pro Championship, presented by Cooper Tires. And today it is going to line things up for some great racing. Long straightaways, some big braking zones, and of course, challenging corners like the carousel. Hello folks, my name is Rob Howden, ready for a back-to-back show right now. It'll be race number 1 for USF Pro 2000 and race number 2 back into the doubleheader for the USF 2000 driver. We'll start things off with the drivers going to start on the inside of road number 2 for Jay Howard Driver Development. Risu Sujima, your best starting spot of the year. Does that bode well? Do you feel pretty good with this racetrack?
Yeah, I've driven around here a lot in the sim. We've had a couple tough rounds. I think we've shown glimpses of our real pace, and I'm glad that we finally have something to prove that.
This is one of the tracks we always look at here, Road America, where the rookies, you get used to the series. You've run the oval already, you've run a street circuit, you've run a natural terrain road course. Now Road America is a place you can kind of get here and show what you've got. Do you feel this is lining up for you to have that best result?
Yeah, definitely. It's also very similar to Europe. The new surface is similar to what I've experienced before. So definitely coping well with the surface, and I want a good result. I like getting trophies, so hopefully we get some more this weekend.
We had Max Chilton here before running, and he said that Road America kind of reminded him of Spa. Would you have that kind of a reference?
Yeah, especially with the new pavement. I raced at Spa last year. It's very, very similar.
So what do you do here? You're starting on the inside of row number 2, starting third. The guys up front are going to get aggressive. You're right behind the pole sitter, Michael D'Orlando. Is the thought that you want that first race win, is that in your mind to the point where you may get aggressive early, or are you going to settle in for the long run?
I think I race pretty calculated, and I'll see what cards I get dealt, but definitely I'm aiming to win. So I'll have to see the situation, and whatever happens.
Great having Risu Sujima here with us this year. Let's move over to the guy beside me. We're going to go back-to-back. Like I said, we start with USF Pro 2000. We're going to roll right through to USF 2000, their second race to back up the doubleheader. Maxwell Jamison, a rookie in the series this year. Maxwell, what do you think of this racetrack? You and I talked before. Qualifying is so tough with the toe.
Yeah, this track's amazing. It's really nice. I like to do pavement, but like qualifying, if you don't get a toe, you're not set for the race. The toe's a big part of the track. And in my qualifying for race 2, I made a mistake. I didn't get a good toe, and it put us towards the back of the field.
That's part of the thing, right? We're learning so much. Not only are you racing and trying to lay down that big, fast lap, but you're also needing to think about the toe at the same time. Did you feel like maybe you were learning a bit throughout that session?
Yeah, trying to get the lap and trying to focus on the toe is a big factor. Focusing on both is very hard to do when you're new to racing, and I was focusing on it, and it didn't pay out that well.
Obviously, you ran USF Juniors last year. You make the jump up to USF 2000 this year. Overall, how do you feel the season's going for you?
I think pretty good. I think we made a big step going forward, and I think it was worth it. The racing is very different. It's harder, but I think it was a good idea.
You're going to be in the middle of a fight when we go green flag. It's probably going to be 3 wide down into turn number 1. What are your expectations? Are you thinking maybe top 10 in the opening lap if you can get there?
Yeah, the goal is to push forward, be as aggressive as I can, but be smart. Don't do anything dumb.
That's it, folks. Don't do anything dumb. Be aggressive and be smart. Both these drivers are going to try to do the same thing when we go racing. Don't go anywhere. Right after this break, we'll come back with a full driver lineup. Wheel-to-wheel racing. Well, it's about time to do that right now as 20 drivers lining up and, in fact, rolling out onto the pit lane now, out of the pre-grid to get things underway. My name's Rob Howden, folks. Once again, joined in the PA booth by the voice of Road America, Eric Miller, and we are getting ready to go. As I said, rolling out here right now. 20 drivers set to roll. Hey, Eric, we had a really good run in USF 2000. I expect a little more, as I always do, out of the older drivers, the more experienced drivers here in Pro 2000, but they're all gunning for more money as well, so you never know what happens when we go green flag racing.
Well, I'll tell you what we saw in USF 2000 in race 1 was a little bit chaotic at the start and restarts, and we just had a hard time getting going.
Yeah.
With a little bit more experience, I kind of hope that we see a little bit more green flag racing, but what just transpired across the day for the NTT IndyCar Series, you kind of got to raise your hands and go, what's next? Because it's been a fantastic day so far.
Yeah.
These drivers are going to have their hands full now, especially with a lot more rubber on the racetrack. Now with a little bit different transition into the corner, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Let's just say this. Everybody is struggling getting a grips on this racetrack. The new surface, getting a feel for the higher cornering speeds. Everybody. I don't care if it's USF 2000 all the way through to the NTT IndyCar Series. Everyone battling it out. Let's have a look at the grid right now. 20 drivers set to go. We'll start with this driver here for Neotech, the Brazilian Nicolas Monteiro in the number 81, starting in the 20th position outside of row number 10. A brand new team to the series, and they've been picking up speed throughout the season. Alongside him, Jack William Miller from Miller Vinatieri Motorsports in the number 40, the driver out of Indiana, starting in the 19th position. We'll go to row number 9. Exclusive Autosport has their Indianapolis race winner Joel Granforce, a Swede, on the outside of the 92. They've been finding more speed in that car, so look for him to attack very quickly. Granforce in the 18th position in the number 92. And on the inside, the young lady, Lindsay Brewer, in the number 93, the C4 Smart Energy car for Exclusive Autosport. Again, finding more speed every race. She will line up here in the 17th position. We'll go to row number 8 on the outside from Delafield, Wisconsin, a University of Wisconsin student, Yuvan Sundaramurthy, in the number 90 for Exclusive Autosport, starting in 16th. And on the inside from Avon, Indiana, for Turn 3 Motorsports, it's the number 47 of Jackson Lee. Moving now to row number 7 on the outside, Illinois driver Jordan Missig in the Pabst Racing number 19, starting on the outside. That's P14, alongside the winner of the Freedom 90 just a couple of weeks ago at the Carb Night Classic at the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Salvador de Alba from Mexico in the number 91 for Exclusive Autosport, rolling off from 13th. Row number 6, we'll see Liram Zendelli, the German driver for TJ Speed Motorsports, starting on the outside, had missed a flyer, got caught up by a red. Much more speed for Zendelli. We saw him be much quicker in qualifying for race number 2, so he'll be a driver to watch, the white number 10. And on the inside, starting 11th from Mexico, the number 4 of Ricardo Escoto. We'll work our way now into the top 10, starting on the outside of row number 5 from Scottsdale, Arizona. It will be Jace Denmark, a winner here at Road America last year, the USF2000 program. For Pabst Racing, Jace Denmark at the number 20, starting 10th. Inside of that row as well, Turn 3 Motorsports, Jonathan Brown. They have been very impressive all weekend long. Rolled off the trailer well in the open test on Thursday. Turn 3 looking good. Brown, the Irishman, in the number 2, starting in the 9th position. Moving now up into row number 4 on the outside from Italy, Francesco Pizzi, another one of the TJ Speed drivers, kind of right up there in the top 12, as his teammate's going to be on the outside of the front row. But Pizzi starting 8th in the number 55 outside of row number 4. And on the inside, a former USF 2000 champion race winner and also a race winner already this year in this USF Pro 2000 category, the Brazilian Kiko Porto for D-Force Racing in the number 12, starting 7th. We'll move now to row number 3 on the outside for D-Force, Bajoy Garg, the Californian, in the number 7, starting on the outside of row 3, P6. And his debut race here in USF Pro 2000. They got a couple of starts in USF 2000 earlier in the year, ran F4 last year. From Quebec, Canada, Lucas St. Jean in the Turn 3 Motorsports, number 3, starting in the 5th position. We'll now move our way up to row number 2 on the outside. Your point leader coming into the event. 3 straight victories early in the season for Miles Rowe in the Pabst Racing Force Indy machine. One of the front runners USF 2000 last year. Multi-time race winner there as well. The number 99 out of New York, starting in the 4th position. Alongside him, best career starting spot here in the program, a rookie, Reese Ushijima for J. Howard Driver Development. Did a lot of racing over in Europe, but we've got him here now in the USF Pro Championships. The American in the number 6, starting on the inside of row number 2. 20 drivers in the field, 2 on the front row. A top qualifying effort for Christian Weir, another one of the Illinois drivers from Naperville, in the number 32 for TJ Speed. He's outside of row 1 for this race tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Race number 2, he'll roll him off from pole position. Christian Weir in the 32, starting in the 2nd position. But the driver we had in the booth for the USF 2000 race earlier, last year's USF 2000 champion, he's got the USF Pro Championship Scholarship livery on the car. That's the driver to Hartsdale, New York, the number 1, Michael D'Orlando, looking to try to bounce back here after a really rough start to the season. He is going to look to capitalize on a pole position run. So it'll be D'Orlando and Weir on row 1, Ushijima and Rowe on row 2. Row 2, St. Jean and Garg on row 3, Porto and Pizzi on row 4, Brown and Denmark row 5, Escoto and Zendelli on row number 6, De Alba Missig row 7, Lee Sundaramurthy row 8, Brewer and Granforce row 9, and Miller and Montiero on row number 10. Just over a minute to go before we get the call to fire up these engines, Eric. These drivers all ready to rock.
Absolutely, and the first order of business is does Michael follow his own advice and be patient?
It's true enough. He talked all about that, didn't he?
He did indeed.
Yeah, so as if we had Michael D'Orlando up in the booth. He had a really interesting vantage point to see that race play out, as he, I'm sure, will be ready to go to see if he can't get that first win of his USF Pro Championships Pro 2000 career. Again, we are set to go with 20 drivers ready to get out here and get rolling for what will be a 15-lap race. They've got themselves a 50-minute time window to get the job done. and all those drivers with elite engines ready to fire up and get things underway. And to do that, we have one of our guests from L&W Supply joining us here down on pit lane. Folks, the command coming right now from Stacy Rollins.
On behalf of L&W Supply, drivers, start your engines!
2 for 2 in the commands here, Rob.
That was solid for sure. Thank you, Stacy. Engines coming to life on pit lane. And again, we thought the USF2000 drivers were quick. These guys will step it up by another 3 or 4 seconds. They're going to hustle the way around here. Eric, we saw them yesterday. As we roll down, no one on sticker tires. Everybody really preparing themselves to run on this new racing surface, scuffing in their tires during qualifying. These have already been through a heat cycle, which means we're going to have decent grip levels the first time through 1 and 3.
And we talked a little bit about that in that first qualifying session, about that heat cycle. Most racetracks that the series competes on, less than 2 miles. This is 4 miles. A lot of those scuffs are just 1 lap, but it's enough of a heat cycle to just kind of put a little bit of more grip into these tires and more longevity with that hardness burn that you're going to get when you scuff it off. So it's going to be interesting to see what these teams do. A little bit fresh scuffed rubber, but this race itself, how it's going to play out, again, with race 2 tomorrow morning.
One of the things as well, you'll see a brand new set of tires. They have that kind of sheen on them. Well, there's a compound in the mold, so when the tire's coming out of the mold, it pops out of that mold a lot easier. That's the kind of that compound's what you want to get rubbed off the tire as well, so you have that little bit of extra grip. I'll tell you this right now, if you're looking for a cool souvenir here this weekend, if you head over to the Cooper Tire trailer in our paddock right behind the IndyCar and Indy Lights trailers, they're actually selling used race tires for $10 a pop, and all that money goes to the IndyCar ministry. So kind of a cool thing to bring home. People grab them sometimes, turn them into end tables, whatever it may be. But yeah, Cooper Tires, race tires, for $10 over in our paddock area there, right behind the IndyCar paddock and across from the drivers from Indy Lights as well. So, or Indy Next rather. So, again, getting set to go. 20 drivers. Michael D'Orlando.
That's $1 to the ministry too, right there. It's $1 in the kitty.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I've been pretty good this year. I will tell you this right now.
You have been pretty good at that.
For most people, obviously, you may have been here many, many years. We've called it the Road to Indy for many years. It's now the USF Pro Championships. USF Pro 2000 has been many names in the past. Indy Pro 2000, Pro Mazda, back to the Star Mazda days as well. So, yeah, we're all putting some money in the swear jar, getting used to that for sure, indeed. But yeah, USF Pro 2000 getting ready to roll. I'm really excited for this one. Mainly, again, it wasn't just Michael D'Orlando that had a good look at the start for USF 2000. I guarantee you every one of those drivers, especially if you're on a team that has a USF 2000 start, you probably were looking at that data, maybe on the debrief as well. How's the track feel on the opening lap? What can you do when you're on the outside? Because Michael talked about it. Not a lot of 2x2 or side-by-side running through practice or qualifying.
And one of the other things that we notice, obviously, with the little bit more horsepower, turn-in locations are a little bit different too. So your data set points are just a shade different, a little bit deeper on the brakes, into the corners. You obviously maybe a little bit late braking in a couple of spots. So what does transition if you've got the USF 2000 versus the Pro 2000?
Another thing to think about as well is these guys are rolling on the racetrack essentially right after IndyCar qualifying as well. We talked about the USF 2000 drivers, what it was like to come after the practice session. And then again, same here with qualifying. These guys are going to have a lot more rubber on the racetrack than they had at 8 o'clock this morning. It's significantly warmer than it was as well this morning, so this track will be a lot different. They'll get a little feel for it here as they hustle around to try to build some heat into these Coopers before we go racing. But the bottom line is that that this track is going to have a lot more grip. We saw it already. It's gripping up, get some rubber down. I think it'll be interesting how they all essentially attack, but at the same time be a little more patient on it as well.
Looks like a safety truck going backwards up the race course out of turn 5 right now. So not sure that we're going to see green flag this time. So it looks like we had a car lose power coming down into turn 5.
There it is right there. So one car having trouble. Very interesting. We'll see if we can't get a name on that car.
It's Monteiro.
All right, so it sounds like it's going to be Nicholas Monteiro stopping on the racetrack. The pace car will stay on the track right now. So Monteiro, the Neo Tech number 81, having an issue heading down into turn number 5. Hate that for him. He's a young driver from Brazil that needs the seat time. That's this team as well. They need as much track time as they possibly can to build up their database. They're a brand new operation. And every time they go to a track with a baseline, learning as much as they can and not be able to get a full race distance in, I feel bad for that crew. Yellow flag flying as we'll roll things around here, get it underway. Again, we talked to Michael D'Orlando, the pole sitter here earlier in USF2000. At least we talked about how anxious he gets when he's sitting on the grid getting ready to go. Once he gets on track, it's better. But now you want to go racing. The circulating around behind the pace car is not doing anybody any good, right?
No, that
he's ready.
I would imagine he's kind of chomping at the bit to get going. He was, he was pretty excited to get this race going this weekend here at Road America. Obviously, with moving up to USF Pro 2000 this season, he's kind of in that catbird seat of kind of controlling his own destiny. And I think sitting on the pole this weekend, he's starting to feel more comfortable in the upgraded car as well.
Yeah, and the team's coming together. Turn 3 is really coming together. They had a bit of a test here with Lucas St. Jean a couple of weeks ago, so they've got some time on this racetrack. It's paid off for them to a certain extent here now to get him rolling. So again, the bottom line is for a driver like Michael D'Orlando, who has had so much bad luck to start the season. He rolled in as the USF 2000 reigning champion. We've seen drivers like Kirkwood. These guys do really well. Renus VK, of course, was the vice champion in USF 2000, then won the championship in USF Pro 2000, and then went on to finish second in Indy Next. So he wants to keep the momentum going. It's just been so much bad luck, and when you roll off the trailer like Turn 3 has here, with the potential of maybe being able to getting out and getting two really good results, wins or even podiums is what Michael D'Orlando needs right now. He needs these 2 quality finishes to get that momentum going in the right direction. Because remember, we're at Mid-Ohio in 2 weeks' time. It's not like it's going to be a long run to the next one. 2 weeks from now, we're in Mid-Ohio, and then 2 weeks after that, Toronto. So there's going to be a succession of races, and if you get yourself on a good run with momentum and confidence, you can start banking and cashing in some points.
And we've talked about those drivers even in USF 2000, but also here in USF 2000 Pro 2000. You've got situations where this is another natural terrain road course. We've kind of done it all so far up to this point. Now you got to put those the pieces of information together and put it through. Where this is one of those rounds where you typically see a team that's maybe been on the outlier of the top 5, back half of the top 10, who starts to put things together and starts to build a little bit of midseason momentum. And I think Michael D'Orlando's got the opportunity to do that with Turn 3.
He's got a lot of seat time here as well. That's one of the things he mentioned. He's raced here 5 times, but then you get guys that have never raced here before. You talk about Risu Shijima, Lucas St. Jean, the guys coming in from the other programs like a Francesco Pizzi or a Liram Zindelli, right? They've never been on this racetrack before. So in terms of going wheel to wheel. So those drivers are the ones that are going to leverage this right now and try to step up. The guys with experience, the new drivers, are going to keep learning every lap, and now we go wheel to wheel. It's, again, for a guy, think about Zendelli, think about Pizzi, Ascoto. It's their first time rolling down into turn number 1 at Road America at full speed 3 wide. So that's something to experience for sure. And
we see 2 wide, 3 wide, and sometimes 4 wide on start attempts.
Yeah, let's be real.
And this is where one of those situations where, with all of the unknowns, like Michael D'Orlando said, patience is really going to be key here on the start.
Pace car is ducked on off. Time to get rolling here with Michael D'Orlando and Christian Weir. A pretty good pace coming through turn 14. Looks like D'Orlando wants to bring them up to the line pretty quickly. He'll line them up as they come out of 14, climbing back up the iconic hill here at Road America. Almost time to go racing here for the first of 2. They'll be back on track tomorrow morning, bright and early at 8 o'clock. But right now, as they roll their way up here, it's time to go racing for USF Pro 2000. Green, green, green. And they'll drag race their way down into turn number 1. Not surprising, D'Orlando goes to the bottom of the racetrack. 3, maybe 4 wide. Is anybody tucked to the inside? No. He's going to be clean and green through. Otherwise, 2 wide to the corner, 3 wide further back. They get through the opening corner cleanly. Now the run down under the bridge here into turn number 1. D'Orlando really leveraging the opening corner. There's contact there further back. That's one of the drivers, I believe, Jackson Lee, I think, with contact in the back there. Loses a rear wing. He's off into the gravel trap in turn number 3. That's definitely going to be a full course yellow. I don't think he'll be able to get out of that trap. No, yeah, there's Jackson Lee's machine right there. Tough one for him for sure. I think maybe front wing. Everybody else racing. I would bet they'll let them race all the way over. There's the front wing there too for I think Euban Sooner or Murthy. They're gonna, I would expect, let them race. Oh, look at that. Pizzi throws it on the inside of St. Jean. He'll go off. Because the yellow's in turn number 3, I would expect to let them race all the way over to 14. Let's let these guys settle in a bit, get that 1 lap in. No, full course. I'm surprised they didn't let him race a bit longer. Normally we'll do that, but they did give him at least a half a lap to a certain extent to sort things out. Pizzi tossed it up the inside on Saint Jean at the top of the hill.
So obviously speaking, with the stranded car of Monteiro, time clock started. That lap counted under the pace lap, so it went. This is now working lap 2. So this is technically the second lap in the opening. But
I don't see a lot of damage to the car of Jackson Lee. We will give you a replay. That wing, I think, is going to be Juven Sooner Murthy. I don't think that's going to be either that or Grand Force. I believe it's Sooner Murthy I saw without the wing. Here's the replay. Back down the hill through 2. And look further back. Jackson Lee drops a wheel on the outside. So he's dropped the wheel. Sooner Murthy is going to go to the inside. And it looks like Juven pushes a wide little bit, doesn't get the car to turn down. But remember, he's got Jack William Miller on the inside of him as well.
And I think the car in front of him shading over a little bit kind of distracts him a little bit. He moves over to left just to try to avoid that car. And looking at the situation here, trying to get him towed out of the gravel trap over in turn 3.
Let's see if we can have a look at that replay once again. Now that we've all kind of identified what happened there, we'll have another look at it. It was just a move to try to get down to the inside. Sooner Murthy filling the hole. I would think I
want you to look at the black car, left side of your screen, just in front of Juven, all the way to the right. Now tries to cross over and comes over.
Yeah, indeed.
His entire braking marker is now shortened in half because the car is now popped in front of him.
Yeah.
I really don't think he had anywhere to go.
That's a great call there, and I think that's probably going to be Jordan Missig, who was coming across the track. So Jordan goes down in instead of keeping to the inside, sets up and moves from driver's right to left. And like you said, Sooner Murthy was kind of getting himself really committed to the braking zone, knowing that he had the opening, and then of course Missig coming across. They made contact there, kind of. The right front of the wing to the left rear missing. Now, listen, if you're Jordan Missig, you're hoping that there's not potential tire damage to your left rear tire with the contact that happened coming through there. I think it might have been him. It could have been another driver. Hard to pick up exactly who that might have been. Well, I'll see where Missig is. No, there's Missig well far. That's not Missig. That might have been De Alba that he might have got into. Maybe the 91. Yeah, I'm thinking it could have been De Alba that potentially got in there. So De Alba came across. I was looking for the rear end fence of Missig, but he's further up the road. Jordan actually up into the 9th spot, so he actually got a pretty good start. Jordan Missig, who started a little deeper in the field, 14th. He gets through the chaos and actually comes out of the other side in 8th, so good job for Jordan there. Yeah, I'm thinking it was very likely Salvador De Alba, I think, that was resetting the entry point there, and that's the 2 exclusive Autosport cars getting together coming down into turn number 3. An inauspicious start for sure, Eric, but we'll get things going again. First and foremost, the lead goes from the start to Michael D'Orlando. Miles Rowe with the big jump up into 2nd. Rowe started back to 4th. He leveraged that opening lap. I'm sure he's thrilled to be up there in the 2nd spot. That's your point leader.
Yeah, not a great start for Christian Weir. Obviously, he's going to start from the point in race 2. But looking at that start, Michael D'Orlando did exactly what he wanted to do. Was patient coming on the throttle up the hill. Once the green flag came out, able to kind of get that car length advantage and was able to move over so he didn't shorten the apex entry.
Yeah.
And he was able to gain a lot more speed through center apex into turn 1 and started to pull away a little bit. So
and same thing in 3, right?
And he did the same thing in turn 3. So, he was very patient on the start, waited. He said he wanted to really start all the way back in turn 14, but he waited a little bit longer.
He did. I think he was playing us too.
He could have been.
Guys
wouldn't be the first time a race car driver has done that.
That's true. People were listening in, didn't want to give all the secrets. Nonetheless, here's the lineup, at least of the top 10. We are going to go green this time by as the drivers work their way out of the carousel down into Kettle Bottoms. Well, Michael D'Orlando, Miles Rowe up into 2nd. Risu Tsujima holding station in 3rd. Christian Weir in 4th, and Bajoy Garg top 5. Francesco Pizzi, who started 8th, he goes up to 6th. Jace Denmark, who started 10th, he gets a couple of spots. He's up to 7th. Jordan Missig 8th, Kiko Porto 9th, and Jonathan Brown in the 10th spot. Drivers that were further up that got moved back. We saw Lucas St. Jean kind of get the little, not so much a hip check, but he had to check up because of the move to the inside in 6th for Pizzi. So St. Jean, who started 5th, ends up now back in 13th spot. He moves back a couple of positions, as did Ricardo Escoto. So outside the top 10, again, it's Pizzi, Denmark, Missig, Porto, and Brown top 10. Zendelli 11th, Escoto 12th, St. Jean 13th, D'Alba 14th, Grand Force 15th, Miller 16th, Brewer, Sooner Murthy, and Lee. And as we know, Nicholas Montiero not able to get refired after the issue on that warm-up lap.
Yeah, pretty rough start, really a rough weekend for Montiero. Just really wasn't able to find a whole lot of pace early on in the practice sessions or even in the test days. And it's one of those situations where even look at Juven Sooner Murthy, one of his favorite racetracks. Obviously, it's home, and he's just been struggling here. Green flag coming out.
One driver into pit lane from further back as well as we're back to green flag racing. Restart always tough here. The big draft down. We'll see whether or not Miles Rowe tries to pull the trigger. Your point leader bouncing back from what has not been a fantastic weekend thus far in terms of pace, but coming himself into position here now. They'll work their way through turn number 1. Looked to me like D'Orlando was able to defend on the opening. Here comes Miles Rowe trying around the outside. He and Miles battled it out for the championship last year along with Chase Denmark in USF2000. Now they find themselves at the pointy end of the field here in Pro. They'll work their way down the back straightaway. Look at that. Miles Rowe right up on the gearbox. Coming underneath the Sargento Bridge. Down into turn number 5. That downhill kind of sweeping to the left corner. Defensive run to the inside for D'Orlando. Right behind them, though, we are racing here with Reese Ushijima and Christian Weir. So tight racing up front. And do we have a move? We, I think, do. Yeah, Ushijima able to get through. Reese Ushijima now is through. Where is Rowe? We'll have a look when they come back around here. Because there's your lead. Oh, there's Rowe there. So we'll see when they come back around. D'Orlando's, is that Rowe leading now? It is Rowe leading. Where did D'Orlando go back to? 4th. Yeah, so D'Orlando went back, driver off over there coming through turn number 8. So Rowe is now your leader. Obviously, we didn't quite catch it on the transition, but I have a feeling Rowe probably made a move up the inside, maybe was able to get by there and brought a gaggle of cars with him.
Yeah, it looked like maybe the lead through 4 into 5 under braking, but we've got a car spinning around back in the kink.
Yeah, it was two cars together trying to go side by side through the kink again, and I don't know why these guys are doing this so early. They were they were side by side. There was 3 cars together, and not surprising, we are full course yellow with contact between drivers further back there. And I know the replay is in there somewhere, so we'll see if the truck can rack that up for us. We don't see the wreck, but you can see them coming into the kink, and we'll try to pick it up. It looks like to me, there's the 7. Yep, that's one of the drivers off already, Peugeot Gard. And I want to say it was one of the TJ Speed cars. So
right in the middle. So here's another one.
So it's going to be the 10 of Liram Zendelli. So Zendelli gets together with Gard, and he's continuing to roll here, so it doesn't look like it's totally damaged. But yeah, I could see it happen as they were coming through. You know, we saw that, and we transitioned to this shot here, and I was waiting for the dust, and we saw it, both drivers off, and there is Peugeot Gard in the D-Force Racing number 7.
Now the advantage that these USF Pro 2000 drivers have is they do have time to fix these cars, where our USF 2000 drivers did not. So they will have time to fix these cars, but that is not the place you want to get off here.
Yeah, I'll say this right now, just looking at the car, it's probably, I won't say best case scenario, but it could have been a lot worse if you're on the outside looking in there at that corner. And again, as I said, I kind of saw it setting up as they came out of the carousel and we're rolling their way through to the kink. We'll have a look to see what we have here. We got a couple of different angles for you here, folks, to have a look at this. Kind of how it transpired. As I said, the one shot I had initially was them kind of coming down out of the carousel into the kink, and the entry was, again, kind of ugly. It was 3 drivers all total. This is a shot from further back. This is the cars going off. 3 drivers involved totally, and the one coming just here, I'm trying to figure who that is. Yeah, we can see the drivers connected, but this car right here coming through is part of it as well. You can see Zendelli kind of pulling away, and Garg not so lucky. Here's the shot here. Here's the turn. And again, there's the end of the contact. Can't see it much with the dust as it is. That's tough.
Could have been much worse.
Indeed. Yeah, it could have been 100% worth. As you know, it doesn't take much there to end up going off and nosing into that the concrete wall on the outside of the corner. Like I said, I could see them coming out and kind of coming through that corner there, and they were just, listen, there was 2 drivers on the inside, 1 on the outside, and that's just not always going to work. And I think Zendelli probably got away with it there a little bit in terms of the limited damage he got, whatever it is wrong with the number 10. But nonetheless, both he and Garg falling to the tail of the field. Christian Weir has dropped down into 16th as well. Not sure what happened to Christian. But tough one here for the TJ Speed cars who were fast. Rowe with the lead, Ujijima in second. D'Orlando able to get back into third. Pizzi runs in fourth spot. Fifth is Jace Denmark ahead of Jordan Missig. Seventh is Kiko Porto. Eighth, Ricardo Escoto. Ninth, Lucas St. Jean. And Salvador de Alba rounding out the top 10. And you think about the championship a little bit coming into this one too, Eric. And it's Miles, Rowe, and Grand Force separated by 32 points. Pizzi just 5 points behind Grand Force. And de Alba just 4 points behind Pizzi. So they're all pretty close. So Grand Force, Pizzi, and de Alba are in the driver's seat in terms of trying to be the ones to close up on Miles Rowe. But Rowe, if he could win another one here, that'd be big for the driver in New York.
And Grandfor's outside of the top 10 right now, sitting in the 12th spot. So that's going to be a long road to hoe, certainly.
They've been struggling this weekend. And again, it's all about continuing to push and dig and stay out of trouble. You know, Grandforce started this thing all the way back in 18th position right now. Now he runs in 12th, so it's a 6-position improvement. Not so much on speed, I think, but a lot, of course, on attrition, staying out of trouble. But again, we've got a long way to go still here. And I'll tell you this, and it's kind of an interesting little tidbit, because obviously we talked about hoping to see better racing out of the drivers here in USF Pro 2000. We didn't get that. The two tracks that kind of really lay this down for us and make this an opportunity to happen, because maybe of some of the corners being really inviting, is Indianapolis on the road course and here at Road America. The long straightaways in the draft really do allow drivers that maybe don't have the same pace to close back up. When we get to a Mid-Ohio, knowing there's like, one or two places to overtake, the field's going to gap out a little bit more, and the draft doesn't play such a role. Here, a driver who may make a mistake down in 14 and not be able to get through is able to get a big, huge run and get the draft all the way down to turn number one.
And part of that is obviously with the start, restart combination, you're not letting the field string out under a long green flag run either. So right now this field is completely stacked. So when they're getting together, it's because they're all in close proximity.
Yeah.
We haven't had a long enough green flag run to really kind of get stretched out a bit, let these drivers kind of get into a rhythm.
Well, we give you a little bit of an update here as well. And you're right, cautions breed cautions is kind of what we had going on there. You saw one driver drop into the tail of the field, and that was the number 55, Francesco Pizzi. Both he and the number 20 of Jace Denmark being told to go to the back of the pack for the restart, jumping the initial start. So both those drivers get nabbed on this one and falling to the tail of the field. And we know that they were up there pretty closely, and I think Pizzi was running in the fourth spot. I think Denmark was fifth or sixth. So those drivers up front have been moved to the back. So again, more jostling around. So now it's Rowe, Ushijima, D'Orlando still in position. Jordan Missig finds himself up in the fourth spot. Again, Missig started back in 14th. He's up 10 to 4th. Kiko Porto 5th. Ricardo Escoto now 6th. Lucas St. Jean back to 7th. Salvador de Alba, Jonathan Brown, and Joel Grandforce top 10. Lindsey Brewer 11th. Francesco Pizzi 12th. In fact, they'll go a little bit further back. Pizzi's going to go all the way back behind Sooner, Murthy, Miller, Weir. So it'll be, I think, 15th and 16th for Pizzi and Denmark after that penalty moves him to the tail of the field. So we've had a ton of action, but it's not all wheel to wheel. We've had a couple of incidents, a couple of rulings from the race directors. So, man, we're shaking things up. Not much green flag running either, which is disappointing. We do have a lot of time still, 31 more minutes remaining. And by the time, even if we go green this time by, we'll have another 9 laps remaining. But you can see the AMR IndyCar safety team working hard to get that track cleaned up.
And obviously one car also not starting. Charles Finelli did not make the call for the grid either. So 2 cars out right away before we even went green. And now with a couple of incidents on the race course, losing a couple more, well, hopefully we can get some green flag laps in. Working lap 6 of 15, 3 more laps than our USF 2000 race run earlier today. We'll go back to 12 laps this afternoon right after the conclusion of our podium celebration for USF Pro 2000 as well.
Eric, I don't know what's in this new asphalt, but it's got people freaking out here right now. I don't care what.
And it's just not the young kids.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Everybody in the paddock area right now is like, what do we do?
I watched
honestly, it's been great. It's been fantastic. There's been nonstop action all weekend long.
I watched the Radical Cup race from down in Turn 3 yesterday. There was a number of drivers that lost it going into that corner. We're seeing the drivers in the NTT IndyCar Series having trouble everywhere. 1, 5, carousel, 14.
14. 14's been the challenge, I think. today for the NTT IndyCar Series.
It's been wild, man. There's been a lot of, again, I don't know what it is. Mid-season, everybody's getting super aggressive. It's not like it's overly hot. Like, it's a beautiful day here, like you said earlier, Chamber of Commerce weather, and I don't know. I'm surprised we've had a bunch of incidents here. Drivers maybe going over the head a bit. Listen, if you're going too wide early in a run through the kink, someone's making a mistake there. The guy on the outside needs to back out. I think we all know that. And if you're on the inside, because there was 3 drivers there, the guy on the inside, second in the row, should have backed out a little bit for sure, letting the guy on the outside kind of come back in a bit. I know you want to hold the position, but in the end, you're going to see carnage for sure. And that's what we saw in that particular run through the kink.
It looks like the safety car staying out this time through. So we will complete lap number 6.
Again, say hello to all those people who I know you're trackside here enjoying yourself in your campground, but those of you tuning in on the USF Pro Championships YouTube channel or potentially watching from wherever you are on your mobile device, you've downloaded the USF Pro Championships app. Say hello to you guys. Great to have you again tuning into the live coverage here. Looking at the championship coming into today, Miles Rowe, as I said before, 4 straight podiums to start the season, 3 wins in that podium run. But a 10th and a 5th at Indianapolis and a 5th at the Carbonite Classic in the Freedom 90. He would love to get back on the podium. It looks good here right now, but there's a long way to go before we crown him as the race winner. Joel Granforce with a win at Indianapolis and a couple of seconds among 3 podiums. He's 32 points back in second. Francesco Pizzi's been just really consistent. 1 podium. He finished 3rd in the first race at Sebring. Other than that, everything's really been in the top 7 other than 1 bad race. He's 3rd. Salvador de Alba coming off that victory in the Freedom 90. That big points haul moved him into 4th. Kiko Porto not that far back either, just 48 points back. Top 5 drivers within 48 points of Miles Rowe. And really the consistency, 4 podiums and 3 wins for Rowe, 3 podiums for Granforce, 2 podiums for De Alba, 3 podiums for Kiko Porto. He's had some good consistency, but did not have a good run in the second race at Indianapolis in 11th and was not super strong on the oval either. Finished 10th at Indianapolis Raceway Park. So Porto trying to come back as well. He's P5 again. So championship still a long way away. I mentioned Mid-Ohio, then Toronto, then the Pro 2000s end up going to Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas at the end of August, wrapping it all up in Portland. So a long way to go for these drivers.
And Kiko Porto struggled in the test on Thursday, started to find a little bit of speed yesterday, and then had the off and made some contact with the wall in turn 7. That team kind of trying to turn their weekend around. Sometimes you got to get some of the bad stuff out of the way first, buckle down, and find some speed. So running 5th right now for Kiko Porto, critical for him to kind of get back into his usual form.
Indeed, we are rolling again. We do mention the fact that Jackson Lee did get back onto the racetrack and get back around after he went off in turn number 3, so he continues to run. But as we know, 3 drivers out of this race. That's took the green. Bijoy Garg, Liam Zandelli, and Nicholas Montiero. So those drivers out of this one. In fact, Montiero did not take the green, but it did at least take to the racetrack. So that leaves us with 16 drivers or 17 drivers on track. We'll watch to see if Pizzi and Denmark can work their way back from 15 and 16. An opportunity for the drivers from Exclusive Autosport to potentially dial things in and get better positions from when they started here. Those drivers getting more pace in qualifying earlier today for race number 2 tomorrow. So those everybody trying to dial things in there. They've all been chasing Turn 3 Motorsports out of the gate, but it's actually Pabst Racing right now running 1st and 4th. Already a good day for Pabst, 1st and 2nd, a 1-2 in USF2000 with Simon Sykes and Jacob Douglas. They're going to try to see if they can't put a couple more guys on the box here in USF Pro 2000.
It means a lot to that team, and obviously that this is, again, the one they circle on the calendar.
It is.
Every year.
Pace car hanging out. Are we going back in now? We're going to go back to green flag. There he is there. Pace car goes off driver's right. And it's in the hands of Miles Rowe now. Watch for Reese Ushijima. Driver with a lot of European experience coming back over here to run in the USA. Great to have him here with Jay Howard Driver Development. He's looking for that first win. You know, D'Orlando ready to capitalize, having lost the lead on that last lap. We're back to racing, and there is a train of USF Pro 2000s coming back to the green flag. Aaron Likens giving it a wave here at start-finish. And away they go, down into turn number 1 once again. How wide do we see him span out this time? 2 wide. Around the outside for Reese Ushijima, and he'll come across the bow from drivers left to right, and I think Ushijima's taking the lead. Good shot from the inside indeed. Reese Ushijima in the lead. The Jay Howard driver development pilot up front. I like that opening lap attack for Ushijima as he's able to get by Miles Rowe. But as we know, look for Rowe to try to fight back. Ushijima's going to do a little bit of weaving up the straightaway. You're only allowed the one move. How about 3 wide under the Sargento Bridge? They'll crest the hill at 5. Back down to the bottom. Ushijima's going to run that midline into the corner. Here comes a pass further back as Missig looking to the inside. But as you know, Eric, if you're running the outside there, you get a better run. And there's a driver around. That's Christian Weir. Oh, it's been a rough weekend for Christian Weir after qualifying P2 and P1. It's not going to happen here in race number 1 as he'll drop to the tail of the field.
And Michael D'Orlando said you can win this if you're in the top 5 towards the end. You've still got that chance with the draft. And the toe in these long Road America straightaways could be biding his time, keeping the tires cool, make the run towards the end. But that's guessing you're actually going to get to the end. We need a couple of laps under green here.
Jordan Missig going to work on his teammate Miles Rowe. Jordan Missig, here's one thing about Jordan. He knows this racetrack. He's driven here many times out of the Illinois. This guy has driven here before in Radical Cup. We've seen him here as well in Pro. And he's going to work on Miles Rowe. Jordan Missig, I think he believes he can win this. He's got a hot rod. He's going to move to the inside of Rowe. Can't quite get it done. And actually,
Michael D'Orlando to the inside of Missig.
Took it back. I thought that he was going to get the job done coming in there. May have ducked out a little early. D'Orlando goes back to P3. Missig, who looked like he was going to second, finds himself back to P4. And up the hill once again. Reese Ushijima for Jay Howard driver development is the leader, but here comes Rowe back in the slipstream once again.
Side-by-side battle for the lead at the start-finish line. It's going to punch a big hole in the air down the main straight, try to pull the rest of the field back tight, and that allows Michael D'Orlando to come right on the gearbox. Miles Rowe now. Yeah,
D'Orlando loving that, right? Go side-by-side very much. Thank you so much. We'll pull that in. He's right there again, as is Missig, as is Kiko Portal, St. Jean, Escota, De Alba, Brown, Pizzi. Pizzi already up to 10th. Was 15th at the restart, up to 10th. That TJ Speed car is a rocket for Pizzi. Is next up for him will be Jonathan Brown.
Meanwhile, Kiko Portal just still hanging out in that 5th spot. Lead group kind of starting to stretch out a bit, but D'Orlando battle for 2nd spot under braking to the inside.
You know what? Having Michael up here was perfect timing. When I invited him up after the pole, I'm thinking this could be really good because there's a side-by-side run for Missig going to the inside. Usajima, he's going to get it done around the outside of turn number 7. Book it.
We talked about the opposite move down the straightaway. The leaders side by side, that pulled him right back up into the battle, and now they go side by side behind him in his mirror. That's what he wants. He wants to chase the rabbit out front, let the battle fight behind him.
And you know what? Making that move and be able to pull away, really solid run there for Michael D'Orlando. But the little insight that we got have him in the booth here, Eric, talking about the fact that he believed he needed to be patient, that he could kind of relax a bit. He knows he needs a good run. Even though he's trying to chase down Miles Rowe, you know he's going to try to go get him. But even a solid 2nd place finish here would be huge for D'Orlando. He needs to put some good numbers on the board.
And the other thing that he said is he was struggling with a little bit of front grip, and that may just be trying to be patient. 4 wide into 12.
Oh, my goodness. 4 wide coming down into turn number 12. Do they get out cleanly? They do. Wow. They're getting aggressive here further back.
Quite as clean as we'd like, but
somebody dropped
the wheel.
Yeah, one of the turn 3 cars, I think, potentially from the tail of the field. Here's a big move up the inside. That's a move I like. That move up the inside of 14. You give up a little bit of exit. But if you keep the guy on the outside enough that he's got to get off the throttle, they're going to gain some room. That, I think, was, I want to say that might have been Denmark going to the inside of Jack William Miller. Back up the hill. You can see these drivers 4 wide again. They're going to make it 3 wide, couple deep. Big move up the inside. Miller having a look. He's going to go off the track, and that's going to be a wreck. Yep, not surprising. Jack William Miller, I believe, threw it up the inside coming into turn number 1. He went to the driver's right of the exit or the apex curbing. Yeah, that did not play out very well. And when you get across there, you've lost, of course, all your grip. There's another one. That's one of the turn 3 cars dropping left side wheels off in the grass. That doesn't work either. So, man, it got aggressive further back. I want to say that everybody might have been able to keep going. Eric, it seemed to me like they came back on the racetrack.
Got one car, I think, still stuck in the gravel in turn 1 yet, and there it is.
Oh, the 91. That's De Alba, I believe. Salvador De Alba in the number 91, who had got himself up into 10th position ends up going off as Jack William Miller, I believe. It was either Jack William Miller or it might have been Joel Granforce. There's Miller there. So, yeah, I'm going to say Jack William Miller tried to go to the inside. We're definitely going to get a replay on this as they came into turn number 1. You don't have it. It was live. No, I literally saw him cut across the grass. If you go back and look, I called him cutting going across the grass. So hopefully we'll see if we can't get a replay. If we can't, it is what it is. But coming down into turn number 1, they were side by side, and D'Alba was rolling into the corner. Miller thought about going to the inside. I think he probably broke himself, didn't get on the brakes, and the only thing he could do was essentially bail out to the right.
I think what he did is kind of just pitched it into the grass just to try to avoid, but
that didn't work.
Looked like the gap he thought was there closed rather quickly.
So the winner of the last race, which was the Freedom 90 at the Carb Night Classic at IRP, is not going to score a victory here. That is Salvador D'Alba. He ends up at the beach on the outside of turn number 1. And again, as I said, they were coming down. Essentially, we had a couple of 3 wides coming down into turn number 1. Guys getting super aggressive. Miller, as we said, tried to go down the bottom of the racetrack. And the gap for that opening he potentially had closed up pretty quickly. Bailed out to the right into the grass, and really, I think probably the entire car was on the right side of the apex curbing. And at that point, you're along for the ride. The car's just going to take off from there. And not surprising, when we cut to the other camera, there was 2 drivers off track. D'Alba's taking the hit on that one. I think they may have got him out of the gravel trap now, so it looks like D'Alba able to continue. And if so, potentially staying on the lead lap, that would be key. Because remember, this is a 15-lapper, 11 in the books. If we go back to green flag racing this time that'll be lap 11. We may get 4 more laps. There's D'Alba there. He's rolling. He needs to get back on the throttle and catch back up. So here it is now. Man, craziness. Rowe leads, and right in front of me, Jack William Miller into pit lane in the number 40. So Rowe leads, D'Orlando second, Jordan Missing third, Risu Sujima fourth, and Ricardo Scotto now up into fifth spot. Scotto started 11th. He's P5. Lucas St. Jean 6th, Francesco Pizzi up to 7th, Kiko Porto 8th, and Jonathan Brown 9th. Jace Denmark has got himself back up to 10th. Euban Sooner Worthy runs 11th, Joel Granforce 12th, Lindsey Brewer 13th, Christian Weir 14th, and Jack William Miller into the pit lane, as I said. D'Alba's going to come around to get his 10th lap in, so he's still on the lead lap. I'm sure he'll be hustling that thing around to try to get back up to the tail of the field. Man, that was...
Ironically enough, just like our race 1 for USF2000, we restarted with 4 laps to go.
Indeed,
it's going to be very similar finish.
2 messy races so far, which is
a little unusual.
It's not what we do. No, drivers get pretty aggressive. I got to tell you, I would think that Jack William Miller just kind of frustrated. It's been a really tough weekend for him, coming off a pretty solid run at the Carb Night Classic, a podium in that race at the 5/8 mile oval IRP. They've just been scrapping away here, and I don't know that they have a really comfortable setup for Jack William Miller. And I think we've talked to all the drivers. When the car's not comfortable, they're all worried. You struggle. You get in your head a little bit. You're trying to overdrive the car. If the car's bad, you'll try to drive it to a better position. When, to be honest, this is one of those learning things, and you'll see it in the NTT IndyCar Series when one of the veteran drivers. You don't have a car worthy of winning that has the pace, but you do your best to bring it home, stay out of trouble, and get a solid top 10 or a top 5 result. Champions have done that, Eric, for decades, right? You take a car that maybe isn't top 5 worthy, but you bring it in the top 5, and in the end, when you look back at the body of work on a season and you win a championship, you look back to that race where you weren't good, but you still got big points.
Absolutely. And Michael D'Orlando kind of alluded to that a little bit when we talked post-race for that USF2000. He said sometimes you just got to take the points as they come, and you just got to make what you can.
All right, let's have a look at this incident again as we come back around. Here's this turn 1. This is what I'm talking about. Look further back, the second group. So they're coming to the inside. Jack William Miller looks to the inside, and he's got nowhere to go. No, that's not Jack William Miller. That was Joel Granforce. On his teammate. That's teammate on teammate crime. And the trouble for Jack William Miller, this was not his issue. He was on the outside.
He was a victim there, absolutely.
Oh, you're toasted. You're on the outside. Here, look, watch them come through here. We're going to see them come across. And boom, there they go. Miller's got nowhere to go. He gets collected. So Granforce on the inside comes through. He clears out D'Alba, and D'Alba loops it around. And I know we're going to go back to green flag racing, but we got a while here. What a horrible weekend continuing for Jack William Miller. Was on the outside, not of his doing at all. I thought that was him on the inside. Wow. And we will go green this time by one driver popping out early. Green flag flying. That, I think, was Risu Sujima, potentially an early jump, or Ricardo Escoto. Either one of those drivers jumping a bit early. So we're back underway. 11 laps in the books. So we would now have 4 laps remaining if we can get through this one. Drivers have been struggling with turn number 1.
Couple cars running wide in turn 1 to the excess runoff. 3 wide down into turn 3.
Yeah, Scotto on the outside, Ajima on the inside, and then right there, Jonathan Brown and Lucas St. Jean as well. So as they come down to 5, man, I'm gutted for Jack William Miller. That's a tough one. Again, it's just been such a rough weekend, and as I said, I thought that was him on the inside. My apologies for the error there. It was actually Joel Gramforce, another driver who obviously, wins at Indianapolis, second at IRP, and then just struggling here this weekend. Throws it to the inside. Both he and Miller with kind of the same mindsets, very likely, of trying to salvage something here.
Miles Rowe, very defensive.
There's contact there
6.
as well. That was the number 4 of Escoto trying to pinch down on, I believe, Pizzi, and that wasn't going to work. He pinched down. They went around. Hopefully we can have a look at that replay a little later. This is crazy right now. There's just these drivers are driving over their heads. They're trying to see if they can't salvage something. They're throwing it in on each other. Man, we may have another drivers meeting at the end of today before we have the pro drivers roll, because, man, these guys have been a little kooky today, just getting so over aggressive. And this track doesn't need the over aggression either. I think we know the fact if you're a fast car, you can make a solid move, but these guys are trying to get things done in places when you haven't really made the move yet.
Yeah, and race car drivers are a funny breed. Sometimes it's very difficult to rein them in. Just because it is just so laser focused on what's ahead of you, just beyond the front wing. But right now, out front, Miles Rowe running a little bit of a defensive line and starting to pull away from Michael D'Orlando and Jordan Missig. Jordan Missig and D'Orlando are going to have, I think, a really nice tussle here for second spot.
Watch when they roll back up the hill here. I want to say, I think that is D'Orlando actually the leader right now? He is. He has taken back that lead. So D'Orlando back out front. We did not see it. I think D'Orlando back to P1. Indeed, he is. Jordan Missig goes to second. Miles Rowe back to third. We didn't see that as we were probably looking at those replays. They were able to get back through, so Michael D'Orlando has taken back the lead. Jordan Missig, again, I've talked about the fact that of all the racetracks on the circuit, this would be the one that he probably has the most seat time on. He's raced here in Radical Cup many times before. Joel Gramforce into pit lane, and I would expect that's likely a drive-through penalty. Yeah, so a drive-through for Joel Gramforce for the incident, probably instant responsibility over in turn number 1. Man, again, I feel for Jack William Miller. He had to pit. We'll see if he's able to come back. He's 16th right now, but look at these guys still scrapping it out over the last couple of laps. Good battle there further back as well between Lindsay Brewer. She's dicing it out here right now, I think, with Lucas St. Jean, so that's a good battle.
11th and 12th. I think that moves her into 11th.
Lindsay having a good run. Listen, this is a young lady who is, I've limited run last year. She would be like 4 seconds off the pace in the first session, but she would lop a second off every session to the point where she'd be within a second of the leaders, and sometimes turn some really good race laps. The more she drives, the more she's in the gym, the better she's going to get. Lindsay Brewer has done a great job here for Exclusive Autosport and C4 Smart Energy.
Miles Rowe now trying to chase back down Jordan Missig. Missig sitting on the second step of the podium right now with Michael D'Orlando out front. But again, watch, not saying that he's going to win this race. 3 laps to go. With this series, it's a long distance at 4 miles a lap. But Michael D'Orlando said if you're in the top 5 with 4 or 5 laps to go, you're still in it.
And he's in good place right now, as we know. I'll give it up for Missig as well. Jordan Missig comes in here 13th in points, of 5th at Sebring, his best result. And a second or a third, a podium finish for Jordan Missig here would be massive. A couple of Pabst drivers as well.
Miles Rowe has gotten around to Missig now.
Rowe got around, so he's gone to P2. We'll see if Missig tries to fight back, though. He's going to want to get a second to potentially give himself a chance to roll to the win, but it would be big for Missig to be able to get the points he needs. 12 or 13 laps in, 2 laps remaining. Michael D'Orlando up front. Rowe, though, your point leader. Again, if you're Rowe at 32 points up and you've got D'Orlando chasing you, who's 84 points back, you don't throw this one away. This is one of the ones you bring home in second. You push to see if you're faster, but you don't throw this one away because you're driving so well here right now. He's trying to reel him back in. but it's not one where you maybe throw a slider on him to try to get the race win, knowing that you can come away with a championship. Remember, over $660,000 to scholarship that would move him to Indy next in 2024.
Michael D'Orlando, a half a tenth faster than Miles Rowe that time through. 0.87 seconds, the gap back to second for Miles Rowe. And
Lindsey Brewer going around.
Announcer's curse.
Yeah, she was throwing it down the inside of her teammate, Yuvan Sundaramura. They had tried to make it happen. You get that car down to the bottom and get a lot of wheel in it and try to roll back on the horsepower, and it'll go around pretty quickly. So, but I'll give it to Lindsey. She was going for it, that's for sure. And that, hey, listen, that would have been for 11th as well. So she rights the wrong, gets it back going again, and there's your leaders coming through the carousel. And again, it's D'Orlando, Rowe, Missig, Ushijima, and Brown. That is three different teams in the top five. Turn 3, Pabst, and Jay Howard. Through the kink. And back down through the winding kettle bottoms as they lead their way over to Canada corner. White flag will fly this time by, and Miles Rowe is close. And he's close enough that he's going to be able to get the draft. Remember, there's lots of places to pull out the draft here. Down to 1, down to 5. And, of course, down kettle bottoms into Canada corner as well. There is the lead, though, for Michael D'Orlando, trying to win from the pole position. He'll start on the outside of row 1 tomorrow morning alongside Christian Weir, who is now running in the 10th spot. He's going to be able to fight his way back to 10th. And a big enough gap for D'Orlando that draft is at least not going to come into play here down into 1. So a good, solid start to the opening lap. Eric, our fellow PA booth guest announcer, looking pretty good.
Miles Rowe lopped off a tenth and a half that time through, so Rowe has certainly got pace.
He is.
Riding behind Michael D'Orlando, and 4 miles is a long way around.
And no challenge from behind from Jordan Missig either, so he's able to focus completely forward, fixating on the gearbox right now of D'Orlando. Will we see a fight between these two drivers who really battled it out for the USF2000 championship last year? D'Orlando coming out on top. Rowe definitely closing. He gets it down to probably about 3 car lengths as they come into turn number 5. D'Orlando's got to keep pushing. Here comes Rowe. But again, you push and maybe make a mistake and go off, knowing that you're going to pad your lead significantly over Joel Gramforce, who is now back in 15th position. Man, if I'm on the radio on Pap's side, I'm like, you know what, we like the win, but we can get that tomorrow. This is solid. Let's get that second place points. Let's win this championship. So again, through the carousel. Really only one more opportunity to make an overtake, and that would be down in Canada corner. Rowe, though, right in the slipstream. D'Orlando in the Turn 3 Motorsports USF Pro Championship scholarship colors. Leading the way. Rowe not giving up at all. Do we see a big lunge down into Canada corner? That's a possibility. Does not even look to the inside. He's putting the pressure on. That's the key. Put the pressure on, capitalize on a mistake. If not, take P2 and stretch that championship lead significantly.
One of those situations, sometimes it's better to be the chaser rather than the chasee.
Right. Out of turn 14, checkered flag will wave from the start line here. His first win in USF Pro 2000 racing. The victor in round 1 here at Road America is Michael D'Orlando. The Turn 3 Motorsport driver bagging the victory to move himself significantly up in the points championship. Be very likely significantly into the top 10 after this one. Started from pole, fell to 4th, but he told Eric and I in the booth, if you're in the top 5 with 4-5 to go, you can still win from there, and that was proof positive as he was 4th at one point, worked his way back up front, and he takes the win by 0.8 of a second. Miles Rowe finishing in the 2nd spot. Huge one for Miles Rowe. Again, 32 points up. He is going to extend that gap. You got to think something like 50 points up or more going into the second round of the week, and that was huge for Miles Rowe. Gramforce finishing all the way back in the 15th spot. Jordan Missig on the podium. What a great job for Jordan for Pabst Racing. So they go 2-3, 1-2 in USF 2000, 2-3 here in Pro. Reese Ushijima 4th, Jonathan Brown for Turn 3 Motorsports 5th, Kiko Porto 6th, Francesco Pizzi gets back after that penalty for jumping the start, he goes 7th. Jace Denmark fights his way up to 8th, so all the drivers from Pabst Racing in the top 10. Lucas St. Jean in his debut for Turn 3 Motorsports and his debut in this category, USF Pro 2000, rounding out the 9th, top 9, but 10th goes to Christian Weir, off-pole starter. Up and down day for him.
Honestly, that's a really nice recovery. Even for Yuvan Sundaramura in 11th, that's a nice recovery of a race.
Indeed.
Helped by a little bit of attrition and
Take it.
some incidents. Sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to avoid the rest.
That's it. Ricardo Scotto 12th, Lindsey Brewer 13th. After that spin, Salvador de Alba ends up in 14th. Joel Grandforce 15th. Jack William Miller 16th. Tough one for Jack. And again, apologies for making the error on that. I thought he was the guy that went to the inside. It was actually Grandforce and Jack William Miller. Collateral damage, if you will, on the outside, getting collected by de Alba, who got looped around. Jackson Lee, we know the issues for him. He was a lap down, but finished the race, I believe. Yeah, 14 laps in the books for Jackson Lee. Bejoy Garg and Liam Zandelli, the contact over in the kink. And Nicholas Monteiro not able to get that start at all. So the drivers will work their way back around. We got ourselves a podium celebration. My colleague Jeremy Shaw will handle that from downstairs. Well, you and I will stay up in the booth until we have to pass it off to him. But Eric, that was a pretty solid battle throughout the race. You know, we had Rowe leading at one point. I thought Missig was going to go to the lead at one point there. He got such a good run on Rowe coming down into the Canada corner, but somehow it actually ended up being Michael D'Orlando was able to get by him into that corner. All in all, there was just some pretty aggressive racing, and I don't like seeing all the yellows, but I'm pretty happy seeing some pretty good racing at parts, a lot of really strong overtakes.
I think it doesn't surprise me that Michael D'Orlando won that, but he was very truthful and honest when we asked him the question, you know, what are your thoughts on taking the checkered flag here? And he said, I just have to be patient.
That's it.
And he was.
That's it.
And he even said he would drop back a couple of spots.
This is it right here. Again, the first victory in this category. And yes, folks, he is 6'3". I think probably the tallest guy in our paddock right now. That's Brian Hallahan there, team owner.
Nearly a foot taller than me before.
Listen, there's team owner Peter Dempsey coming in as well. Man, that's a huge victory. They have had such bad luck. That's Mandy Dempsey as well. It's been so tough for Michael D'Orlando at the start of this season, coming off the success. There's Mom there rolling in as well. Tom Knapp, there's brother Nicholas, who he talked about the fact that I thought that was a great deal, talking about the fact that he feels bad that his brother Nicholas doesn't get a chance to race. When you've got a couple of sons that want to go be race car drivers, it makes things awful tough for sure. But the bottom line here is that Michael D'Orlando puts himself as one of the winners on the season. And listen, great run for Rowe, but we know it. Momentum, confidence. You know, get somebody like D'Orlando with a quick race car, he can find himself piling up points for the mid part of the season.
Well, not only that, how often don't we see that you get your first one and the second one, third one, fourth one happen in quick succession? Would not be surprised to see Michael D'Orlando win a couple more as this season continues to progress here in USF Pro 2000.
Yeah, listen, floodgates often open up, right? A lot of the times it's for a lot of the younger drivers coming in, like the USF2000 drivers that finally get that first hit of confidence and know that they can win a race. That's normally when you see it. But again, a guy like D'Orlando, who's won so many races in USF2000, and to get kind of beat down at the start, this rekindles that confidence, rekindles that fire, and this is going to get him right back into it as well. Because I could see throughout the early part of the season, man, he was really beaten down on him, that he wasn't getting any luck at all.
And how often do we talk about that no luck? You kind of get in your headspace a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you start thinking negative things tend to continue to happen.
Yeah, again, I 100% agree with you on that. It's just the opportunity, I think, for a guy like that to get that confidence rolling again. And listen, he's going to start in the front row alongside Christian Weir. He's got another shot at being up front. From here, as we walked away from the booth after the race he did with us, he said, I go from here to my favorite track, Mid-Ohio. He's done so well at Mid-Ohio. So if the confidence comes out and the momentum comes out of this week and rolls into 2 weeks from now, a track he loves, I think he's obviously going to be in really good shape. Down in Victory Lane right now, of course, getting things dialed in. We'll get the drivers out of their cars and getting ready for the podium presentations. As I said, Jeremy Shaw will be down there for us to get things rolling here. And we got hardware to pass out. Again, the drivers of the L&W Supply Grand Prix of Road America. Fantastic racing, folks, and let's get things underway from Victory Lane. We'll throw it down to Jeremy Shaw.
Thank you very much indeed, Rob Howden. Here we are down in Victory Lane after the L&W Grand Prix of Road America, the first of two races this weekend for the USF Pro 2000 Championship presented by Cooper Tires. Let's first of all give a big round of applause for our third place finisher today. That will be for Paps Racing, Mr. Jordan Missig, his first Yes. First ever podium for Jordan. To present the trophy from L&W Supply. Guest of is Logan Weagle. Thank you, Logan. Tremendous drive there by Jordan Missick from Illinois, so a local driver here and a local team as well. A great weekend for Pabst Racing. In second position today is the championship leader for Pabst Racing with Force Indy, Mr. Miles Rowe. And to present the trophy is Hank Woodruff, another guest of L&W Supply. Hank, you very much. Hank, tremendous job for Miles Rowe, the championship leader. So he extends his championship lead with that victory today. But our race winner today for the first time this season, last year's winner of the USF2000, presented by Cooper Tires, from Hartsdale, New York, representing Turn 3 Motorsports, is Michael D'Orlando. And to present the trophy to Michael is from L&W Supply, Laurie Woodruff. Laurie, thank you very much indeed. Well, that race win's been a long time coming for Michael. He's had all sorts of bad luck this season. He's had a couple of pole positions, started on the pole position for today's race, but Michael, that was a challenge. Tremendous. You've got to be so relieved to get this first victory under your belt.
Yeah, it's been a hard season. I think Turn 3 can agree with that one. With the momentum we've had last year, we've had the speed, we've had the pace, but it's just been so troubling to not get this win and not get the podiums that we deserve this year. And I'm up front with Miles Rowe and Jace Denmark. I'm in the Pabst sandwich right now. But yeah, I couldn't be more happy. My streak is finally broken. That Turn 3 #1 priority car is a monster. It's a machine, and it's the first of the season.
Look, just before I let you go, before you celebrate properly here, you had to work hard for that one.
Yeah, I mean, Miles was really quick. I got shuffled back in the start, but, we had a quick car, some smart moves, making sure that we're not super aggressive and, take our time through the race, and we made it work.
Well done. So our top three finishers in the L&W Grand Prix of Road America Round 1. In third position, Jordan Missick for Pabst Racing. Second position, Miles Rowe for Pabst Racing with Force Indy. And our race winner is Michael D'Orlando for Turn 3 Motorsport.
So indeed, tremendous racing there, and again, a great job for the drivers from Pabst Racing, Jordan Missick and Miles Rowe finishing third and second respectively, but Michael D'Orlando getting that win that we discussed when he was up here in the tower with Eric and I to chat about USF2000. Big victory for him. He talked about the fact that if he was going to be in the top 5 in those last couple of laps, he could be patient and make it work, and indeed he did that, getting his first win of the season. Big one, of course, for Miles Rowe, who expands his championship significantly. And again, we are getting set to go with a number of drivers here on the racetrack, as again, ready to rock with the drivers in USF2000 for the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Road America. Let's get things underway with driver introductions as we continue to have some fun down here on Victory Lane. 21 drivers set to go here in USF2000, and it will be Jack Jeffers starting at the tail of the field in the number 92, the most recent driver to win in the USF Juniors category. For Jack Jeffers, an opportunity to sample this USF2000 program. Moving now up to row number 10 on the outside, Avery Towns out of Texas in the number 93 for Exclusive Autosport. He's been getting more and more pace throughout this last couple of days. He'll start alongside Maxwell Jamison in the number 12. Row 9 will have Gordon Scully for VRD Racing on the outside in the number 19, and on the inside, Zach Ping in the number 97. The VRD drivers occupy row number 9. Row 8 will have Elliot Cox on the outside of the drive planning, number 67 for Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing Development. And on the inside, making his second start, his debut was in race number 1, Dane Scott in the number 9 for Jay Howard Driver Development, starting in 15th. Go now to row number 7 on the outside, Chase Gardner, who drove his way all the way up to 4th position, looking for a big run here. Again, he'll start back in 14th, but this is a hot rod. He's got good pace. Keep an eye on that brightly covered Mindshift Financial Machine. He'll start again on the outside of row 7. Alongside him for Jay Howard Driver Development, a better starting position for Al Morey in the number 7. Row 6 will have Max Taylor on the outside. He was in the fight for a podium finish in race number 1. The VRD Racing driver out of Hoboken, New Jersey, will start 12th alongside Ethan Ho out of Los Angeles, California. Ho in the number 68, running for DC Autosport. into the top 10 now. On the outside of row 5, starting 10th, Evagoras Papasavas for Jay Howard Driver Development. He was in the fight for those final podium positions in race 1 as well. He'll have work to do here, starting 10th. And the double-duty driver on the weekend, racing both here in USF2000 and in the Radical Cup, Danny Dzelski in the number 18 for VRD Racing, starting in 9th. Row number 4, we'll see Nikita Johnson out of Florida in the number 17 for VRD Racing, the 15-year-old starting 8th. And alongside him, driver for Pabst Racing, finished 2nd in race number 1, the Kiwi Jacob Douglas in the 23, starting in 7th. Row 3 will have George Garciarce for D-Force Racing in the number 10, starting 6th. And on the inside, from Cornelius, North Carolina, in the VRD Racing number 14, that is Sam Corey. Corey set to roll from P5. We'll move now to row number 2 on the outside of the Pabst Racing Advanced Auto Parts number 24 from Florida. It's 14-year-old Max Garcia starting in the 4th position, and alongside him, the driver who had the point lead but finished 10th in the opening race. He's now 2nd in points for Jay Howard Driver Development, 3 times a winner this year, Lockie Hughes in the number 8. We'll move our way up to the front row. 21 drivers in the field, 2 on the front row. Off pole, the driver who is now the point leader, coming off his 3rd win of the year for Pabst Racing. Simon Sykes of Augusta, Georgia, the 22, starting 2nd. But the driver who will roll off from pole position, the USF Juniors champion from last year, running those beautiful scholarship colors of the USF Pro Championships out of Milton, Ontario, Canada. For D-Force Racing, it's Mac Clark. Clark on the pole position in the number 1. It'll be Clark and Sykes on row 1, Hughes and Garcia row 2, Corey and Garciarce on row 3, Douglas and Johnson row 4, Dzelski and Papasavas row 5, Ho and Taylor row 6, Maury and Gardner row 7, Scott and Cox row 8, Ping and Scully row number 9, Jameson and Towns row 10, and then we get set to go row 11 with Jack Jeffers starting in the 21st position. Still a couple of minutes to go, Eric Miller, before we get things underway. First race was super messy, hoping that the engineers, coaches, and tuners have sat down to talk to these drivers about running together. I actually talked to a couple of the drivers at the autograph session. They were kind of bewildered that nobody was giving each other any room. Maybe they talk amongst themselves a little bit and say, guys, let's get through to the end of this one. We don't need to be side by side. We don't need to be pinching each other into the corners. We'll see whether or not maybe some kind of discussion happened that could give us a better race.
Well, I certainly hope so, because I think the battle here in the USF 2000 Championship is fraught with just great storylines.
True.
And so many cars that from different teams that were in the top 5, top 10, both in practice and qualifying. I think the universally this series is just filled with so many teams that are capable of winning a race. They just need the right thing to happen, the right time, right place. And if they can just stay green, let the race play out. Be patient, let the race fall and the chips is where they may.
Maybe they learned something from Michael D'Orlando there, who was 4th at one time and worked his way back forward. Like the whole idea of using that patience to understand this is a racetrack where you don't have to have that anxiety. You don't have to be so aggressive so early and take every advantage. If you're perfect and ready to make that move, make it. Long straightaways, hard braking zones. We don't need to have 3 wides where somebody's trying to make a move on the outside or inside, and you're going to go far to the outside. It's just never going to work. The guy on the outside is going to get hurt. We saw Jack William Miller, no fault of his own, get taken out because Joe Granforce went inside the gravel. Like it was, if you're wise and patient, you can come away with a really good result here, and let's hope that we get that soon. Again, as I said before, 21 drivers set to go on the grid, and we are moments away from getting the command to fire these engines for what will be a 12-lap race. We have a 45-minute window lined up, 12 laps around this 4-mile racetrack. It's going to be good. Hopefully we'll go green to checker on this one here. The drivers may have learned a little bit after the debacle of the opening race. Not that it was a total wash. We had 4 really strong laps to wrap things up, which was good. Drivers really kind of laid it all out on the line over those last 4 laps. And again, the excitement level was big as the 2 Pabst Racing drivers able to pull away Sykes and Douglas. The fight, of course, was for 3rd in that last race, and no doubt about that as they put their elbows up and went after it. I'm assuming we're going to see more of the same here, but as I've always said, depending on what happens in race number 1, everybody comes to race number 2 with a different mindset, a different experience, a different level of expectations. If you were really good, like a Simon Sykes, you've got the point lead right now, maybe a different mindset. Maybe he is able to be more patient. Yeah, he's going to start from 2nd. He's going to try to pull away with he and Matt Clark, but a P2 finish can still take him to a championship at the end of the season. Drivers who may have had some issues and finished deeper in the field, they're looking for recovery, it's redemption. They don't want to walk away from Road America with nothing to show for it, but sometimes patience is the key play to get things done. Well, folks, we're about set to go. As I said, 21 drivers on pit lane ready to fire things up, and let's get that job done. The command coming today from one of our good friends from Discount Tire, a local store manager from Appleton. To give the command, Chris Spar.
On behalf of Discount Tire, drivers, start your engines!
And that is
3 for 3.
That's 3 for 3. We got the right people in the right spots here today. Great call to fire up the engines. Chris Spar, again, one of our Discount Tire local store managers. And yeah, those engines coming to life. And one of the cool things that we always like to mention at this particular racetrack here, Eric, is the fact that every one of these engines in both USF2000 and USF Pro 2000 built very close to this racetrack over in West Bend. It is the lead engines, Steve Lapp, Logan Knapp, and the whole Knapp family going to work on these things. They build the power for this program. We're pleased to have them.
And they're very proud of that fact that these engines are very reliable, and you don't see many engine failures with this series. Granted, that has a lot to do with the way that the rules package is for both USF 2000 and USF Pro 2000, and even USF Juniors. But tell you what, those engines sound great. No matter where you are, when they fire up, it's always a good day.
I agree with you on that. Looking back, some of the drivers pulling off there with sticker tires. I thought that was kind of interesting. Some of it scuffed. One driver having a bit of trouble. I could see that a little bit further back. The 33, I believe, of Max Taylor. They were having trouble getting that thing fired up, so we'll have a look at that. One of the things about these cars, obviously all spec cars, everything's dialed in, but again, the meters and meters, yards and yards, a mile worth of electrical line on those things, all the wiring, that doesn't, just a little thing being off, and sometimes things will happen. You see it in IndyCar all the time, and it doesn't matter what level of Formula Car racing or car racing, all it takes is that little mechanical gremlin that can have trouble. I think they were able to get him fired up and rolling away again. And you can see, check a lot of drivers on stickers further back.
The first two stickers, I think, is going to be Nikita Johnson and Denny Jostling. I think those are the first two cars with sticker tires on.
Interesting. Very, very interesting here to see whether or not Jostling and Johnson have that pace to work their way forward. I really believe the guys up front are guys that scuffed. So that was probably a different concept of, hey, do I scuff my tires or do I go full sticker? We'll see. Based on all the yellows we've got, I think that maybe the scuff might be a better run, because I don't think you're really going to worry about long-term duration and tire degradation through a 12-lapper if we get a couple more yellows. But again, if all goes well, we'll cross our fingers. We go green to checker with some amazing racing. You and I will leave here with rusted-up voices and hopefully a fun time down in Victory Lane.
Absolutely. And you look at the way that the grid shapes up, Matt Clark, Simon Sykes, Lockie Hughes. Lockie Hughes is going to want to rebound a little bit from a poor race one.
Point leader coming in, doesn't have a good run. Issue on he wasn't sure. I asked him what happened to the rear wing that came off. Was there contact? Did it just shake itself loose? He wasn't quite sure at that point. So again, a 10th place finish was a decent recovery, but you don't want to lose the lead to a guy like Simon Sykes. Simon has had some really good runs. Could have had a second place to Matt Clark. They've done this before at Indianapolis. Last lap, he tried to go around the outside. Clark was going for his first win. Neither of them were on the podium. Had Sykes maybe backed off a little bit and just took second, he'd have a massive lead in the points right now, but instead was trying to go for the win, which I get. You're up there trying to prove yourself, and I'm worthy of going for this championship. He doesn't have a lot of budget. They're going race to race right now with Simon, with Pabst Racing, trying to find the money. He was obviously ecstatic to work with Doug Mockett, who has supported so many drivers over the last many years. So some support from Doug, which is great. Because this, again, Simon Sykes is a young American driver who has never had the opportunity. He's won the runoffs. The racing he's been able to afford, like winning the runoffs a couple of times in F1600 and F2000, to be able to get that done, the skill set's there. He's never had a chance to run with a top primary team like a Pabst Racing, and he's already delivered on a couple of wins right now, 3 so far. It's the championships for the taking there for Simon Sykes if he can settle in. He definitely has the skill set and really has proven it over the years.
And we talked about the recovery for Lockie Hughes after getting the wing kind of collapsed, if you will. That could have been contact. There's a couple of guys that could have had tires cut down in race 1 too, just with all of that contact. So I'm hoping that we see a little bit more patience here to start race 2.
I doubt it.
The race car drivers. Again, visor goes down, the rabbit's in the wind. Right?
I wish to. I'd love to see this be one of those, 12-lap chess matches where they're just, they're going by each other and drafting and just having, nothing too overly aggressive, but just really.
The potential's there.
Yeah, agreed.
With as close as the field in qualifying and practice was, they were within 0.8 of a second, first to eighth.
That's it.
At one point in the timing session. So if they can just be patient, we can see a good classic race here at 12 laps.
Lining them up, folks. 21 drivers set to go here in USF2000, the middle rung of this USF Pro Championship presented by Cooper Tires. Rob Howden alongside Eric Miller, bringing them up the hill. 12 laps of racing to cap off the day's action here in the USF Pro Championships. Back tomorrow with USF Pro 2000 to cap it off. Lining up, set to go. Green, 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 and Matt Clark will lead them down into turn number 1. That pole sitter trying to leverage that great run in qualifying. Does he come out of turn number 1 with the lead? He'll go to the bottom. They'll go 3, maybe 4 wide into 1. One driver locking up, and there goes a wing sliding off the racetrack. Someone got into the back of the driver in front of them, and that wing took off and went on its own. Down to the inside. Sykes looking to the inside, trying to fill the mirrors of Clark. Didn't work. They'll roll out of the corner there. I wasn't able to pick up who lost the wing at that point. We'll see if they can't get them again coming by here. Looked to me like it was near the mid to the second part of the pack. Not seeing anybody there. We'll find out who's having trouble coming through as they work their way back down here into turn number 1. Clark will, of course, run that inside line. Look at Simon Sykes trying to work the outside. He'll hang it out to dry. One driver going back further. I think that may have been, well, that was Chase Gardner further back there. Yeah, Gardner's fallen all the way to the tail of the field. Not sure what happened to Chase Gardner. He was supposed to start up in 14th, but he's in the back now. He's already got a couple of spots, so Chase Gardner, who had a good run up to 4th position, going to put his head down to work his way forward now. Trying to look further back for that wing. I don't see it anywhere there. Gardner goes wide coming into the corner. There we go. Yeah, that's actually up in the top 10, too. One of the VRD cars, I think, potentially in the top 10.
I'm wondering if that's Nikita Johnson.
It could be Nikita. Either Nikita or Max Taylor, if Taylor was able to get back to his spot.
Would be 6th right now. Would it be either Johnson or Corey in that VRD racing?
Hold on to that one right there. Yeah, there's contact coming through. Someone, I think, potentially. Is there someone in the wall, or was it just a dust-up? Someone dropped the wheel coming off into the kink as... No, there is a driver there sliding through. So someone hit the wall and is off down in Kettle Bottoms. That could be... I don't want to throw the number. I'm notorious about saying someone's name who's not there. I don't want to worry anybody back home. If you're watching here, weren't able to see it yourself. The battle continuing as they work their way up the top of the hill. We have not yet seen a full course yellow at start finish.
Could that be the car without the front wing? Lost downforce going into the kink?
Yeah, I want to say the move was Chase Gardner got to the inside of them coming up here. We'll have a look when they come back through. There's the lead here, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, as Lockie Hughes able to go by into 2nd spot. Nick Hughes into 2nd. Watching who's falling down the order, I think that may have been Sam Corey, the number 14. Indeed, they got the call from the TV truck, and I just didn't want to say it. Full course yellow, and indeed Sam Corey. It has not been a great day for Sam. He was hoping for maybe a little more respect. He was one of the drivers I talked to, and apparently that did not happen. Yellow flag flying as he goes into the barriers down in the kink.
School of thought here would be is that Corey lost the front wing, had no downforce. In traffic, that car had no grip, went wide to out in the kink would be my assumption.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this out here as well. I want to say it might have been Chase Gardner. He had obviously lost the wing and may have been following back. Chase Gardner, I think, may have got up to the inside of him. Obviously closed up and got inside him. Coming into the, and if you're on the outside of the kink with no wing, listen, you're a sitting duck at that point. So again, tough one for Sam Corey, one of the nicest young guys you'll find in the paddock, and a shame to see that happen for him. Here is the lineup. We'll reset it for you. Matt Clark with the lead. Lockie Hughes was able to get by Simon Sykes to move into 2nd. Max Garcia, who started 4th, runs 4th. George Garcia in 5th. Nikita Johnson 6th. Evagoras Papasava started 10th. He's up to 7th. Jacob Douglas, who started 7th, now back into 8th ahead of Elliot Cox and Danny Dzelski. Ethan Ho now 11th. Al Morey, Zach Ping, Chase Gardner, and Gordon Scully top 15. Jack Jeffers in 16th. Avery Towns, Dane Scott, and Maxwell Jamison. Max Taylor was not able to get that car fired. Whatever happened to Max coming back out, I don't think that they were able to get him back on the racetrack unless he's circulating around here and hasn't picked up a time yet. And Sam Corey, the driver of the 14, off the racetrack for contact down in the kink. So we think he probably went off and got into the wall. Tough one for him. Ideally, he'll be able to, because he was, the interesting thing, he would have got in the wall on driver's left, but one of the cameras we looked at, he was actually driver's right, so he was probably able to get back on track and then went off track again, made contact with the right side, which is tough in terms of damage to the race car. So there's your USF2000 drivers doing what they can to get these tires cleaned up. This is where we saw that the shot that we saw wasn't on camera. We saw Corey kind of come right up here on the left side of the right side of the racetrack. In fact, you can actually see, I think, some of the dirt that he brought up there. Clark, Hughes, Sykes, Garcia, and Garcia-Arce, who's having a really strong run here this weekend as well. Matt Clark looking for his second win on the season. Here's a quick look here. We might have a look at potentially wing damage to Chase Gardner as well. I want to say that wing may be a little askew on that car. The pace car remains out, but let's have a look as he comes through here. Look back, and I want to say probably somewhere out, just maybe 14th. You can see that yellow car, pretty easy to pick up. Have a look at the wing there.
Yeah, it does look a little askew.
It does look a little askew for the wing there of Chase Gardner, who again put the car on the inside at the, oh, we'll have a really good shot here. Here's the, look for the yellow trim on the car coming up the hill.
Yeah, looks fairly level.
Oh, I wonder if maybe it's rotated a little bit.
Maybe a little loose.
If we have a look at that replay, we'd be happy to have a look at that. We saw, all right, we're going to get a little look here. We'll see what we get in terms of what happened down there in turn. Okay, let's have a look at this. It's in the kink. You see it down there. All you can really see is the dust up at this point here, and we'll. Okay, so here it is. This is, oh, so there, look at the rear. Yeah, so he made light contact. He's going to be lucky if there's no contact damage to the left side of the car. But yeah, so Corey, with no front wing, drops a wheel, goes off, hits the left rear on the concrete, and of course that breaks the trailing arm, the toe link. And again, at that point there, you're along for the ride. That thing's crabbing down the straightaway, so nothing he could do about that. So indeed it was Corey. Thankfully, because listen, Eric, you've been here many times. We've all seen videos. The kink is a place that if you get it wrong and something happens, it could be massive. That's a place where you can have a really big wreck. There's not a lot of runoff room, and by not a lot, I mean none. And you get through there and you make a mistake and you're into the wall, it can be pretty ugly.
Well, it's one of those corners where typically you're coming through, and sometimes you got to put your left foot over your right foot.
I've done it,
and I've done it too.
I was in a Formula V when I did
it. but it is one of those corners where you kind of tense up just a little bit every time, and it's definitely not the place that you want to visit. The left strip of grass, for sure.
Do not do that. So tough one for Sam Corey, and maybe even potentially for, I keep looking at that wing of Chase Gardner, and maybe it's just the coloration on it that has me thinking it could be a kind of a skew, but maybe it does look okay. I don't know. We'll have a look at the end of the race as well. Nonetheless, he's back in 14th spot with work to do. Matt Clark up front with Lockie Hughes, who made a move by. Remember, Lockie tried to see if he could claw some points back on Simon Sykes, who was able to take the point lead there after that big victory. Again, Sykes getting the win. And second spot was, just going to see if they had updated the points yet, but of course not quite yet with the quick turnaround time. Sykes out of the point lead. Lockie Hughes, you know what? If I can claw a couple of back, I'll take it. Right now he's in front of him running P2. But again, what did Michael D'Orlando say? Patience, patience. You can be third, you can be fourth, you can go back to the front here.
And we've seen plenty of drivers over the years. Dalton Sargent comes to mind. Pass 6-7 cars on a restart. In years past. So we've seen it happen. It's not unheard of, but you have to be very timely with those passes. Very calculating.
Yeah. and you're relying on other drivers getting checked up a bit. You taking the right, they're checking up on the inside, blocking to the inside. You're running outside wide line. There's lots of ways to make things happen. Again, the start is the easiest place to make up room, and guys are making mistakes, getting stacked up. Restarts are the second opportunity as well. Everybody nice and close. You get a good run. The draft is going to be huge coming down into turn number 1. We know 100% they're going to be 2-3 wide coming down into that corner. Right now we've got 2 laps in. Lap 3 will go in the books this time by as they work their way out of Thunder Valley over to turn number 14. 14 indeed. Pace car is off. Back to racing with Matt Clark leading the way. And away we go. Rolling back up the hill. Clark, does he get a quick punch off? Not as of yet. Going to climb that hill. And he's on it. And now we're racing. Back up the hill and away we go. Gardner's going to pop out early. He's having a look to get a good run. Let's see if he gets some help. He may actually lose a spot as he's pulled out here.
Lockie Hughes had a great drag run up the hill side by side as they head towards pit lane. On the outside, Lockie Hughes, can he cross over? No, not quite there yet. Still side by side through turn 1.
Oh, hold your breath as they come out of 1. And indeed, side by side, Lockie Hughes on the outside. Look at Simon Sykes. He wants to follow him through but thinks better of it. That was a veteran move for Simon Sykes. Maybe a younger driver would have forced the issue, pushed down the inside to keep Lockie Hughes on the outside. Sykes checked up a little bit, able to get through the corner clean because there's another run all the way down into turn number 5.
You have 3 passing opportunities, 4 if you're lucky in 8, but plenty of opportunity in 1 lap here at Road America to make your move.
That's it. Lockie Hughes has gone back to the lead. Hughes to P1 and settling in now. There is Clark holding on to second. I want to say, looks like a little issue there for Simon Sykes. Wonder if he got up on the rumbles on the exit because he's lost a couple of spots, maybe 3 or 4, as another driver's gone 4 wheels off deeper in the field. One of the Jay Howard cars, I think, goes off. Clark slots into second. That's Max Garcia now up into the 3rd spot. You wonder if there's something wrong potentially with Simon Sykes. Drivers around. One of the Jay Howard cars around has dropped the wheel coming out of turn number 8. And again, we'll see whether or not he's able to restart if we have ourselves another full course. These drivers are going to race themselves back for a little bit here because there's no sense in going yellow quite yet. There's a run there. Oh, is that a lost front wing potentially there for Elliot Cox? He's stacking everybody up behind him. We'll get a better look when they come out of the corner here. Check out to see whether or not we got a front wing for Cox coming into the braking zone. We do not. Yeah, Cox has lost the front wing off the 67, so he's in trouble. He's going to get eaten up as they are all over him right now. He lost at least 1 spot coming down into turn number 16. Who was behind Cox potentially? Danny Dzelski, I think, able to get by. Cox is going to have trouble. Yeah, he's hung out to dry in these fast corners. Turn 14 with no front wing. Even with the minimal downforce of these cars, it's trouble, and he's heading to pit lane. Good call for him. Hey, he'll hope for the yellow flag, but he got to get that new wing on.
Someone who's making some moves here is Garcia Arce as well. Made a move going down into Canada on the outside, just trying to swap positions with a couple of drivers, just on the attack a little bit here.
Look
trying to be patient.
This.
4 wide into 1, lock up, break.
There's something wrong, I think, with Chase Gardner as well. He was locking it up there. In fact, he's gone off a little bit. Something wrong here with Gardner as Cox coming into pit lane. So Chase Gardner, who had a strong run to 4th position, will try to pick something up with that car. Not sure what it is. Full course yellow once again. Wow, another full course yellow, and that is the number 6 of Evagoras Papasavas. He has gone off. Look at the front wing damage there. Literally, the nose has been punched out on that machine. That's from pushing somebody.
My assumption there is that might be the one of the cars that have gone around over in 8. Looks like this is the cutoff in 10. Try to get as far back as he could and just couldn't get it back to pit lane.
Yeah, indeed. And you wonder whether or not indeed that was the driver kind of went off there. Interesting thing about the number 6, you can see obviously that punched out nose, very likely, nose to tail, someone checking up, getting into the rear attenuator on the car in front.
Well, it's easy to do coming in a hurry down. It's turn 8.
Oh,
You've got it's a momentum corner, but sometimes you carry too much speed coming downhill.
Especially if you think about the fact that it might have been Cox that was holding everybody up, right? We talked about him holding everybody up. You can see them stacking up out of the kink. If he's not able to get that thing woed up and then get into the corner of the hurry downs, turn number 8, everybody else stacking up, and it's kind of a chain reaction for Papasavas. And I know he is not happy here at all. He would love to have had a good run here today. All right, so we got another little replay for you. Let's have a look at what we had here. We've got some a little messy action. We were looking for maybe a cleaner race, didn't get it. Here's this shot I told you about coming out here. Does somebody drop a wheel? Do they get into the back of him? That looks like contact coming out of that corner. That's where Cox potentially lost the wing coming through. Yeah, Cox got into the back of one of the Jay Howard cars, which I would expect would likely be the number 6 here of Papasavas. So, man, I'll tell you one thing. If you're the race director, because what we do at the end of all these sessions, as you probably know, is we collect video camera memory. So those memory sticks are coming in. And I guarantee you, race control is going to be having a look at a lot of the video from there. Not only do you take the video of the offending guy, you take the video of the guy behind him, and behind him you get to see a lot more. So, yeah, there's going to be some video review after this one. Tough one for Evagoras Papasavas. This is a track, Eric, where he made his debut last year.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a brutal ride back in the AMR safety team vehicle because they're going to leave the car there until the end of the session.
Yes, they are.
So he's got to come back without the car. Explain that one.
Yeah. Don't do that. Please bring the car home. Like we always say, guys, if you're a young driver, roll the car back into the trailer. People like it when you roll it back into the trailer as opposed to it coming in on the hook. The bottom line is we've got a couple of our really solid young gun drivers, Sam Corey and Evagoras Papasavas, who have had issues. We know that Elias Cox had his trouble as well. They lost a front wing. They brought him and back out, so they got a new wing for him. And, again, luckily for him, he was able to get it rolling again. Looking at potentially a flat tire on one of the drivers coming in here, trying to figure out who it is. Indeed, someone coming into pit lane, as you see, with a potential left. Oh, that's going to be Chase Gardner. Potential left front tire for Chase Gardner.
That would explain why the slowdown into turn 1.
Well, not only that.
Oh, it's definitely down.
But not only that, where do you think it happened? How about probably on the inside of Sam Corey into the kink? They probably made contact there, and potentially, I'm thinking that's if he was down the inside, he might have cut the tire at that point.
Well, it could have certainly come into the entrance to turn 1 as well. But in that circumstance, there are plenty of shrapnel potentially out there as well, just a lot of contact.
Now, here's the thing. 5 laps down. Remember, this is the 12 lapper. 7 laps still to go. There's Cox by the line in front of us here, so he remains on the lead lap. The drivers here, they're going to work on the car of Chase Gardner. No, there could be some issues in the back they're looking at here on the car as well. They want to make sure they might as well take the opportunity to give a look at it while you have time. They've got the tire changed. He's set to go. Chase Gardner down and away again into the number 95. And again, remember, Chase Gardner had a strong run up to 4th in race number 1. He's trying to get himself back into championship contention here. It's been a rough year for Chase, and he's digging. Wow, well, no shortage of excitement in USF2000 here this weekend. We had the same thing in Indianapolis. There's so many opportunities to pass, and again, we've had some drivers struggling a little bit here in terms of decision making. Guys up front being smart. Lockie Hughes, Matt Clark. Again, talking about Simon Sykes. How about P1 all the way back to 8th over the first half of this race? Simon Sykes back into the 8th spot. Started on the outside of the front row. Matt Clark took the lead early. Lockie Hughes came running. So Hughes, Clark, Max Garcia now 3rd. Garcia Arce in 4th. Nikita Johnson in 5th spot. Nikita already a podium finish on the day. Looking to line up another one.
Well, again, one of the first cars that took stickers to start this race as well from the couple of rows back. So you kind of expect that the tires need the green flag runs to kind of come in. We saw most of the quick runs at lap 12, lap 13, 14. So they need to start burning some tire up under green flag conditions here.
Behind Nikita Johnson is the number 23 of Jacob Douglas, the 18 of Danny Dzelski, the 22 of Simon Sykes, the 68 of Ethan Ho, and the 7 of Al Morey. You think about Al Morey's weekend. He ended up going off in the opening lap on cold tires and qualified last, had some issues in that race as well. And then better qualifying for this one, started 13th, and he's got himself up into the top 10. So Al Morey looking to try to put another top 10 on the docket here for 2023. Mid-Ohio again next up a couple weeks from now. Waiting for Chase. Where's Gardner? See if he catches back up. Pace car rolling in. Gardner, where is he on the racetrack right now? Trying to close back up on these guys. Gardner just coming. Actually, he's just coming through a Canada corner now, back up the hill. He better be at full song when they get rolling. He may get it. Yeah, he may be close enough that if he gets rolling here out of this corner, he could have a super flyer going. As he's back at it. They're coming back up. Yeah, Gardner's going to be okay. In fact, if he stays on the throttle, he could get one of them big runs. We're racing, and here comes Gardner.
Great job by the crew getting that car back out when they did.
Exactly that. And indeed, he's going to get a run. He's going to go and try to get a couple guys coming up into one. But back up front, away we go. Hughes, the leader. How's it going to look coming down into turn one? Clark locked the left front up. Is there contact there? No. That is unbelievable. And that was Garcia was on the outside.
Garcia had to grab the binders real quick, but Garcia's diving into the inside there as well.
Wow, big left front lockup for Matt Clark trying to get in there. It was kind of on the gearbox of Hughes, right? Maybe got caught off guard a little bit, locked it up. And remember, when you lock up one, and there's so much hard braking here, wouldn't be surprised to see another lockup out of Clark. He's got to be really ginger with those brakes. He holds on to P2 as Hughes has the lead. Garcia, I just said, up into second spot. Again, back up the hill. Lots of time still to go. Lap, 6 in the books. We're really only at the halfway point, working lap 7 right now. There's Chase Gardner up a couple spots further back. That bright yellow car we see there with those accents as he's pushing by to get through of Avery Towns and Dane Scott and Maxwell Jameson. Elliot Cox is really rocking up. He's moved his way up a bunch of spots as well. Cox, I think he's going to be flirting with the top 10 here pretty soon. He's moving. Elliot Cox in the 67. There's your leader out of the carousel. See Garcia safe in the D Force Racing Machine putting pressure on. Sykes trying to get himself back in the fight. Good shot here coming out of the carousel and coming out of the kink. What are you picking up there, Eric?
Can't tell. Looks like something may be coming out of the back of one of the cars behind the left rear.
Wait for Cox over here. He is going to throw it up the inside. Another couple of spots for Cox. Man, he's rolling right now. Using what we can to try to pick up some stuff here on track. It's another pass there for Cox. He's going to come out of here with a nice spot. Now, open racetrack for Cox to try to close back up. That thing's a rocket right now. You see how he was moving away from the group in front of him. He might be 10th position. The tail is such a 10th. Here goes Clark, looking to the outside to try to get back to the lead. He was the pole sitter here for race number 2. Clark with a win already on the season on the oval. Does he go around the outside of Hughes? No. He'll hold on to it. Garcia not close enough to leverage. Cox up into 9th across the line for Elliot Cox. What a drive. He'll be looking to see if he can't reel in Ethan Ho's having an overall good weekend here as well for DC Autosport. Ethan Ho, one of the drivers from our USF Juniors program. Qualified on pole for one of the races at VIR. Not yet has won in the season, but that could be coming. The most recent winner, Jack Jeffers, now running in 14th, kind of just biding his time, not wanting to get in trouble. Learned this USF2000 car. Doing a great job, Jack Jeffers, after some issues in qualifying.
Starting to look like maybe Max Garcia starting to back up the mid-pack here from Jacob Douglas, Nikita Johnson, Simon Sykes. It looks like they're all kind of bound up behind him as Cox starting to make some distance between. How about Chase Gardner right behind Cox now?
Yeah, Chase is on the wheel too. Remember, 4th in the opening run there for Chase Gardner. He's up to the top 10. That's a great run for Chase Gardner. Struggled throughout the early half of this trip. They were not perfect, not great in testing. Practice struggled. Didn't even qualify that well, as we've talked about the fact he was outside the top 10, but raced his way up to 4th using some attrition, and now has scrapped his way back up into the 10th spot. Both he and and Cox try to close back up on the tail of that group. And there's still a long way to go. 7 laps down, 5 laps to go, and they get back to the stripe. It'll be 4 laps remaining. And we talked about where you can win from. Here comes a deep move as well. Man, that was inside the top 10. That was, I think, maybe Sykes going by Johnson. Simon Sykes up on the wheel. Because remember, his primary championship contender out front with a little lead now. You know he's got that on the radio. Listen, you got to go because Lockie Hughes has a decent little advantage over Matt Clark.
Just about 4 or 5 car lengths there for a moment. It's starting to extend a little bit here on the front straightaway.
Ethan Ho coming alongside Nikita Johnson. Not sure if that's Johnson or Sykes, but he's coming alongside.
Sykes back up to 6th now.
There's a move to the inside there as well, side by side. How about 3 wide, deeper back in the pack as well? Man. Elliott Cox, I think, may have just laid down the fast lap of the race as well. Yeah, he's up on it right now. He did a 2:09. What's his fast lap? Fast lap for Cox at 2:09.19. Oh, yeah. He's over a second quicker than everybody. Second, third, and fourth. Cox, by far the fastest driver on the racetrack right now. Hold on. Where can Elliott Cox fight his way up to here? Currently ninth. Trying to get up on Ethan Ho. Listen, they're racing for him. Now, this is the key. You're faster than him. Make the... Oh, is he going to try to go up the hill? Let's go 3 wide. Cox at the bottom. Oh, that was a better move.
Bailed out.
A younger Elliott Cox would have forced the issue there. A driver getting a little more experience, thought better of it. You got a great race car. You're probably not going to win unless you get another yellow, but get up to the front of this group. Make this one an experience that you can put on the resume and use as positive momentum moving forward.
Inside a carousel, inside Ethan Ho now.
Hold your breath on that one. Ho on the outside, even on this racetrack, tough. Looks to be like Matt Clark maybe closing up a little bit. There he is right there, Cox.
Backed out.
Yeah, in front of Dzelski.
Cost him some momentum, but Dzelski around Gardner.
Indeed, Gardner now running in 11th rather. Dzelski moves his way up to 10th. This is good racing here, just outside around the top 10. Again, we know how quick Cox is. Let's see what he does coming back up the hill here. If he's good from Canada over to 1, he should be able to get at least another spot. 9 laps will go in the books. 3 to go this time by. Clark is not letting Hughes pull away. Again, let's be real about this too. Matt Clark, who had an issue obviously in race number 1, is trying to get himself back into this championship contention. We know how good this young driver is, and he's trying to see if he can't get himself back in the fight after that win at Carbonite Classic. What kind of a drive do we have up into turn 1? The draft, will it play for Matt Clark? Yeah, he's going to roll right back into within a couple of car lengths. Top 4 stretching away. Garcia say 3rd, Garcia 4th, and then you're looking at about 1.3. Eric back to Jacob Douglas, who's got Nikita Johnson, Ethan Ho, and Elliott Cox right there.
Simon Sykes, race 1 winner in the mix there, back in 9th right now. And Chase Gardner did get back around Danny Dzelski.
Field settling back in a little more here now. Got a little bit of dust coming out of the corner there. That's the battle for Chase Gardner, trying to get, I think, back around Danny Dzelski. That's a good fight here as well. Dzelski had set the fast lap of the race last time by, so there's guys deeper in the field. They're laying down big lap times. This is Dzelski here. He locks it up a little bit.
That was Elliott Cox. Cox has lost pace, I think.
You sure that? Well, we'll have a look. Oh, there he is right there. Oh, what happened?
I wonder if Elliott pushed so hard he went off on the exit of 3, maybe.
Of 3, that dust we saw coming up. Was that Elliott Cox? Again,
likely was. Lost so many spots there for Elliott.
I just
Cox.
threw it out there that he, a younger Cox would have made a move, wouldn't have made that move, or would have made that move. Pardon me, coming to the top of 6, and man, there's something to be taught about controlling, the way you drive a race car. Listen, let's not jump to conclusions. He might have been driven off by someone over there. It could have been a hard racing, but you hate to see that happen when a driver is really coming on strong, as Garcia is right now on Matt Clark, the 2 teammates at T-Force Racing. This is good stuff right now. So that's going to change things, obviously. When they get back around, we'll re-rack them for you. There'll be 2 laps to go when they come back to the stripe. Lockie Hughes trying to win over Matt Clark.
Gardner and Dzelski still side by side through Canada, now into Thunder Valley here.
There's the lead, and then 2nd, 3rd, 4th, back to 5th, 6th, and 7th. And Ethan Ho runs P7. 8th and 9th are now, as I believe, going to be Dzelski and Gardner, unless it's Sykes. That's Sykes all the way back there. Wow. Coming across the line, Lockie Hughes. What is the margin right now to begin lap number 10? Call it 0.6 of a second. Clark 2nd. Garcia, Douglas, top 5. 6th spot now is Johnson. 7th, Ho. 8th, Simon Sykes is the winner in race 1. Back at 8th right now. You wonder if there's damage to that car that may have held him back. 9th is Gardner. Another good run for Gardner. So 14th, he's up to 9th. And Danny Dzelski rounding out the top 10. Jack Jeffers from dead last. He gets up to 11th now. A 10 position improvement for Jack Jeffers. Wow, good racing.
You wonder if maybe that
2 wide.
You might want to think that Simon Sykes might have not had a complete new set of scuffs. May have had to go with the same tires they had in race 1 too, potentially.
There's 3 wide coming in. I wondered, did he bend a toe link? Was there contact at all? I don't know. I don't know that the Pabst guys would roll the dice to the point where we would have tires that wouldn't be competitive tires. They know their stuff, you know. And again, you've got Garcia running fourth too. I don't kind of feel like that maybe something wrong with the car, as he was so good in that first race. And again, think about the swap right now. They could be tied in points or something like that, because remember, Hughes had a 4-point lead coming in. Sykes gets the win. Now Hughes potentially going for the win with Sykes back in 8th. It's going to be super close. Whereas, you know, even a podium finish would have allowed Sykes to pull away. There's the scrap right now between Ethan Ho, who's having a good run here. I think he's battling Jacob Douglas. Look at the DC Autosport car. We got a good battle here back for 6th. Yeah, Ho's going to be able to get by. He goes to the outside. Jacob Douglas, this could get ugly coming through this corner. They were side by side coming out of Canada. Yeah, there's the dust I was expecting. And indeed, wow, Jacob Douglas forcing the order on Ethan Ho. Ethan Ho in that single car DC Autosport effort. Just Ethan and Don Connor. Wow. And they're battling against Pabst right now. And here comes Ho right there across the line. He's going to get the drag race down. He's going to try to take over. That would be for 7th. Pardon me, that would be for 6th. Hughes, Clark, Garcia, and Johnson, top 5. Ho around the outside again. Gardner trying to come in and clean this up. Look at this scrap. Ho drops the wheel a little bit. Oh, Gardner thinking about going around the outside of both. Line up the run. Again, you got to teach drivers that. You don't pass anybody in 3. Because you can't. You don't pass them in 3. They pass you back in 5. You set up in 3. And that's it. To the outside now. Let's see if Ethan Ho wants to make it 3 wide. As they crest the hill, Eric, down into 5.
Braking zone duel forthcoming here. 3 wide. Sneaking in the middle for Ethan Ho. Gardner slipping wide into turn 5. Up the hill underneath the Corvette bridge to a blind turn 6. Ethan Ho stuck on the outside. Gardner to the outside now into Hurry Downs, and Gardner gets the position around Ho.
And now Gardner going to go to work on Jacob Douglas on the last lap. Lockie Hughes, folks, is your leader as he works his way through the carousel. Final lap for USF2000. Matt Clark giving chase, but looking for another good result. Max Garcia looking to get back on the podium as well. Just 14 years of age, the driver in the number 24 for Pabst, running P3 as he was able to get by George Garcia a couple of laps ago. Nikita Johnson 5th, but this is going to be a good run for everybody behind Lockie Hughes. Even though Lockie needs this win to get back on the horse, it would be his fourth win of the season at 4 different racetracks, which is massive for a young driver to know you can win anywhere. Out of the Canada corner, I don't think anybody's got anything for Lockie Hughes. This is the fight between Jacob Douglas and Chase Gardner. They're going at it. Former teammates, as Douglas used to be with Exclusive Autosport. And again, all the way to the outside. Look at this. They're trying to set up. That's further back. That's one of the other cars. Here comes the run up the hill, folks. Side by side for P4 as well. The battle further back. Here comes Lockie Hughes to win race 2 in USF2000 at Road America. Hughes back to the top of the podium and into victory lane. The Aussie wins here at Elkhart. Matt Clark in 2nd. 3rd goes to Max Garcia. 4th, George Garcia 5th. Nikita Johnson across the line. 0.08 of a second separating 4th and 5th. Jacob Douglas just holding back Chase Gardner, who started 14th and raced his way up to 7th. Danny Dzelski 8th and Ethan Ho 9th. Simon Sykes rounding out the top 10. Tough one for Simon Sykes.
He had to grind that out for 10.
Hold on. This is crazy. Lockie Hughes comes in with a 4-point lead. Simon Sykes win. I'm taking the point lead. Hughes finishes 10th. Lockie Hughes wins. Simon Sykes 10th.
Back to right where it was.
Right where we started coming in. It's a 4-point lead. Like, now listen, there's going to be fast laps of the race. Most laps led. It may be a little bit more, a little bit less. But they literally swapped the spots in the 2 races. A win and a 10th for both Hughes and Sykes. No one making any ground up or stretching it out. That is unbelievable. Identical finishes, flip-flop for Hughes and Sykes. Matt Clark, though, gets himself back up on the podium in 2nd. Max Garcia as well. Good run for all 3 of those drivers. Garcia 4th. Johnson, Douglas just beating Gardner to the line by 0.04 of a second. Great run for Chase Gardner. Danny Dzelski 8th, Ethan Ho 9th, and Simon Sykes rounds out the top 10. Zach Ping 11th, Jack Jeffers 12th, Al Morey in 13th spots, 14th Gordon Scully. Avery Townsend on the tail of the field up into 15th, Maxwell Jameson 16th ahead of Dane Scott. Elliot Cox, trouble on the final laps. He ends up 18th. Evagoras Papasavas and Sam Corey, as we know, did not get to the end, and Max Taylor sadly didn't get a chance even to take the green.
Yeah, that car wouldn't even fire on pit lane to start things off. So a tough race 2 for this USF2000 championship.
Indeed, our last podium of the day for the USF Pro Championships. We're back on track at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning with USF Pro 2000. Looking forward to that one. Christian Weir will start on the pole position alongside today's winner, Michael D'Orlando. That'll be a barn burner for sure for that 15-lapper. But again, the drivers will work their way around, and Lockie Hughes will pull that Jay Howard driver development machine into victory lane. I'm sure that guy thrilled to do what he just did, because he was not a happy man at the autograph session, having finishing 10th and lost that point lead. But to literally have Sykes and Hughes flip-flop positions, and very likely we will have drivers essentially exactly the same gap up front as they came into the race weekend with. Mid-Ohio's the next one. Both those drivers, Hughes and Sykes, have got a lot of time there. Sykes is actually been a podium finisher at Mid-Ohio in not a top team as well. You know, one of the growing teams, the smaller teams, the single car teams. So, man, I think Sykes is going to be strong there. But Lockie Hughes has won there before as well. So, Mid-Ohio is going to keep this fight going.
You know, absolutely. In championships, this could be one of those championship moments for either Lockie Hughes or Simon Sykes, that you look at where you end up at the end of the season in the points championship, saying we prevented the mitigated disaster, right?
Yeah,
for Lockie Hughes. That's a huge recovery from race 1 to flip-flop that, but it could be that turning point of the season too.
100% could be. And you think about the mindset change of it, you'll see it here. He was not happy before. He is thrilled right now. He'll be back out, and it's a race win for Lockie Hughes, for Jay Howard driver development. Tremendous run for the young driver out of Australia as he, again, defends after that issue in race number 1, down to celebrate with the crew. And folks, time for me to head to victory lane. If you're watching on the USF Pro Championships app or YouTube channel, Lockie Hughes and Jay Howard celebrating the victory. We'll be back from victory lane.
We're like any normal family. We just get shorter wait times because we buy and book online at discounttire.com.
So easy.
Which gives us more time for things like...
Come on, Mom.
Ready? And it's all thanks to Kyle. Thank you. Get 30% shorter average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com.
Let's get you taken care of.
If you're enjoying the action here at Road America, just wait till the next event. We're only a little over a week away from heading to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for USF2000 as they'll get back at it at that fantastic racetrack, challenging the undulating corners there, of course. Looking forward to that one, June the 30th to the 2nd. We're past the midway point of the season. Now it's that stretch run to the championship and the finale at Portland on Labor Day weekend. And we know the championship battle is tight right now between Lockie Hughes and Simon Sykes. We'll see what happens throughout this weekend, but make sure to be ready for Mid-Ohio at the end of the month.
Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things. Like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper and Duramaxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
The best way to learn more about the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires is to check out our new mini documentary, The Climb, brought to you by Discount Tire. 6 episodes done so far, fantastic insight into all the events of this year, and even a look back at the finale in Portland. The newest episode from the USF Juniors race at VIR is now available on the YouTube channel. Check out this preview.
But he also had a massive tow.
He did?
Yeah. Jeffers was by himself. Because Jeffers was towing Brienza when they both did their laps.
You sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Like the exit curve just launched me in the air.
One of the D-Force went out in Hogman, yeah.
One of the things we always see in the USF Pro Championships is some of the rookie drivers start getting better and better mid-season, right? Road America we usually look at as where some of the rookies step up. Right now, Nicholas Giaffoni here in USF Juniors has been the guy to beat out of the gate. His championship lead now is massive, but as we know in this program, it's never over. Well, ladies and gentlemen, down here now in Victory Lane for the drivers here in the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Road America. Excited to get things rolling here. Again, the USF2000 drivers putting on a great show for us here. Some great racing all the way through the pack, but these drivers are the ones who are able to come through with big runs to the podium. We'll get things underway. We have some of our store managers from Discount Tire helping us out, passing out some awards here today. Finishing in 3rd spot back on the podium. Great drive for the 14-year-old from Pabst Racing, Max Garcia. And to present Max with his 3rd place trophy, our store manager from the Discount Tire in Oshkosh, Cesar Rizzi, coming out to help us out. Cesar, thank you. Future star with you there, Cesar. Max Garcia, 14 years of age, coming home in 3rd. Excellent run here for the driver who finished in 2nd spot, a winner at the Freedom 75 at IRP earlier. Last year's USF Juniors champion for D-Force Racing, runner-up today, Matt Clark. Audrina Spar, one of our guests from Discount Tire, will bring out the 2nd place trophy to Mac. Audrina, thank you. Matt Clark, tremendous job up front. What a battle it was for him to be able to get back here into 2nd position. Great drive. This championship, I'll tell you, is a wild one for sure. There's guys further back trying to dig their way forward, but the fight right now with the drivers up front. 10th in the opening race for this driver from Jay Howard Driver Development, but he fights back with a win and a huge one to get back into the point lead. Put your hands together for the Australian, Lucky Hughes. Lockie, I probably don't have to tell you how important that was for you to get back on top. 10th in the opening round when Simon got the victory. He finishes 10th this time. You end up with the win, so pretty much even coming in as it was going out. Tell me about that race and how your car was.
Yeah, I just have to apologize for race 1 because on the first 2 laps I drove like a word I can't say on here. But
copy that.
But no, I then had the problem with the wing, and so that race was crazy. Then coming back through the field and everything. But no, that race was perfect. Got to the lead as soon as I could, and then it was so hard with the tow here. You know, just trying not to get freight trains, so was able to keep them behind and yeah, come out with a win.
You tell the people about how the mindset has to be. Obviously, the race you had wasn't perfect, but you have to keep yourself centered, right? You're back on the racetrack a couple hours later. What did you do to try to make sure you were in the right place of mind?
I didn't really do anything.
Be a race car driver?
Yeah, exactly. I know what to do, so the guys, they tell me what to do and everything. So I can't thank them enough, Jay and Joe and the whole team, Mark, my mechanic. So yeah, it's a great end to the weekend.
Enjoy it, man. Well done.
Thank you.
Winner today, Lockie Hughes for Jay Howard Driver Development. Let's bring that trophy in here as well. Again, one of our other store managers from Discount Tire in Appleton, Chris Spar. Not only the 1st place trophy, but ripped off the driver Start Your Engines as well today. That was awesome. And again, a great job. Thank you, guys. Great to have the good folks from Discount Tire with us here this weekend. And again, some talented drivers here in the USF2000 program. These are the drivers you're going to see in the NTT IndyCar Series in a handful of years. Kyle Kirkwood was here. Renus VK was here. You look back at the Oliver Askews as well. We're all in this category in earlier years. The development level of our USF Pro Championships, the middle way through our ladder program. And again, we'll see them all work their way up through the ranks. USF Pro 2000 next on the docket for these talented young drivers. And quite an international lineup here as well. The Australian winner, the Canadian finishing in second, and the young American Max Garcia in third. And again, the cross-section of the different countries we have as part of this program, this draw of the Discount Tire Scholarship Support Program that brings so much money for the champion of this category to move up to the next level. It's so key. Again, the driver winning the championship here will win over $440,000 to move into the USF Pro 2000 category next year. Lockie Hughes, again, great comeback. I'm going to ask him the question about what you have to do, what you do mindset-wise. He's got race car drivers. He knows what to do. You're just going to put your head down and try to minimize the mistakes, and he was able to do it this time. Of course, Jay Howard, his team owner, a veteran driver of this level of competition, USF 2000, former champion there, Indy Lights champion, multi-time starter of the Indianapolis 500. So Jay Howard, of course, a fantastic mentor for these young drivers under his tent. Radical drivers getting ready to roll back onto the racetrack as we cap things off here from Victory Lane. Capping off our USF 2000 component of our weekend. Still more racing to come on the day, but more as well for us on the weekend. 8 o'clock start time for USF Pro 2000 tomorrow. They'll cap off their doubleheader tomorrow morning to break the silence here at Road America. Grab yourself a coffee and enjoy some amazing racing. Remember, USF Pro 2000, those drivers just 2 steps away from the NTT IndyCar Series. Capping things off with more of our guests we have as part of the action. Looking you guys to kind of step off to the side because it's time to have some fun. These suits are going in the dry cleaner after we're all said and done here. Just 2 more weeks till we head to Mid-Ohio for the next race for USF 2000. And folks, as we do here to the end of these races, guys, grip it and rip it. Time to shake that champagne. And they're going after each other. Hughes bails out. Garcia comes after him. And once again, that wraps things up. One more round of applause, folks, for all the drivers on the podium here today. Lockie Hughes with the win. Matt Clark in second. And 14-year-old Max Garcia onto the podium, P3. A great race for the drivers in USF 2000. Thank you so much, folks, for tuning in to our USF Pro Championships broadcast here on the app and on the YouTube channel. Again, back here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central for USF Pro 2000 from Road America. On behalf of everyone from Anderson Promotions and Cooper Tires, as well as Discount Tire, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.